Okay, I'm live. Crazy, right? Crazy stuff going on. Just give me a sec there, folks. Well, for those of you who are starting to trickle in here, slowly get your notifications. Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm definitely going to be promoting a lot of my social media platforms, the alternative ones, over the course of this particular stream. I was actually going to live stream not just on my YouTube channel, but I was also going to live stream on my Periscope account that I created quite a while ago, and I guess it live streamed to Twitter. But I went to open up the Periscope account, and apparently it's going away as of March 31st. It's going to cease to exist as an option. So why bother, right? If it's going to cease to exist. But as you folks are probably familiar, I'm on Minds, I'm on Gab, I'm on ThinkSpot, and I'm on Locals. Those are four of the main alternative media outlets in terms of social media platforms. And in terms of video uploads, I really wish BitChute, you could do like what I do with, like when I'm going live, I could live stream to Facebook. I could live stream. Well, I had the option to live stream to Periscope. I could have even today, but I said, why bother? It's going away and not going to exist as a platform anyways. And I can live stream to YouTube. Matter of fact, I can do all three concurrent at the same time. But because I'm in the rural part of Canada, my internet, my broadband, just can't handle that kind of stuff. So I basically usually just stream to one platform. Two, I probably could have got away with. But unfortunately, BitChute. Now I know there might be a way if you're a coding kind of a guy, or you know how to do this stuff, right? There's probably a way, because I know Stefan Ball knew, but I don't know. Does he upload his after the fact that he does it on D Live? Because I know he uses D Live predominantly these days. And then what does he do? Re-upload on BitChute after the fact? See, now that would be an option, except for me to download my own live streams, some of them, go into the half a gig or a full gig. It would take me a whole day basically to download, and then to try to re-upload it. Then another day. So I just, like I say, until I get either a better internet connection, and yeah, Starlink is available, but I just don't have the cheddar as of yet. It's looking at about an $800 price point just to get set up with Starlink. Once I do though, sky's the limit in terms of what I'll be able to do. That's the one thing, like as with everything in life, you need resources, right? And we libertarians, those of us in the liberty movement and the freedom fighters, we've got the least amount of resources, it seems, these days, because we're the ones that are being oppressed and having our economic lives plundered, our lives turned upside down, devastated for daring to challenge the status quo. And we're looking out there and we're looking for support. I was even mentioned as well with the whole Trump thing too. Listen, we libertarians have been saying for a long time. And I mean, we even help. That's the thing. The lefties, when they went their way, we were like, trying to help point them and steer them in the right directions. Like, come on, we got to get all about freedom and liberty. We got to get all about properly educate and inform the people. So that's what you need. If you don't have a healthy population, a culture of people who understand what it is to be free, good luck with any fucking political scenario or outcome. Because as I've said a gazillion times in the past, politics is downstream of culture, right? And I said this, like I say, to the lefties, to the activists on the left side, a lot of people that turn towards Antifa groups. Back in the day, like 10 years ago, some of these people were Ron Paul supporters, but they just totally went to the left. And then what you see, what did we see after the rise of Trump? Right now, some libertarians have even joined with the rise of the right now. But they all keep trying to play politics. And one thing I will say, at the very least, with Trump and how this is all going to play out and unfold, and I know some of you out there, right, still are holding out hope until the 20th. And I mean, good for you, I guess. But hopefully after the 20th, we can get back to where you're stop fucking looking to I don't know, whether it's your Donald Trumps or I don't know who or any, like, can we get back to just the fundamentals, the basics, like I say, of what we require, the minimum requirement we need if we're going to socially and economically engage or interact with each other peacefully. What is the bare minimum? Like I say, we have to be able to respect each other's sovereignty, our freedom, but playing politics, and the whole storming of the Hill. Now what you see, even the storming of the Hill right down in the White House, they storm the Capitol. And now you're seeing even it's like nobody was talking about ideas. It's all about, oh no, it's a Antifa insider group, and they did that just to make the Trump supporters look bad. Or no, it's QAnon supporters. Or no, it's just good loyal patriots. But once again, all you're doing is stirring up more division, right? And to me, it's like, what the fuck? I've been dealing with this shit. I've been paying attention to this kind of stuff for 10 years, right? And every time I've seen someone pivot towards, hey, even me, well, think about it. Up here in Canada, I even tried. I was like, no, politics is bullshit. But you know what? I'm gonna try my best, show the people, and at the end of the day, I proved that I was correct in my assumption. The PPC, remember, I was one of the founding members, supporters. I even helped the fuckers financially. Not like I have any money, but and I interviewed dozens of the candidates and supporters of the PPC. I spread the information around. I promoted the PPC as best I could. How did it work out? Right? Exactly. Like, I know everyone gets all upset. Well, fuck you, Ben. It's like, well, I'm just here to fucking hold up the big old mirror, folks. And don't get mad at me for doing it. But did it work out? Did politics work out? Right? Did it bring more freedom to Canada? Fuck no. We not only did we lose more, but even Bernier himself lost his seat. So how's that working out for you? Didn't work in Canada and down to our counterparts down to the south. Well, here once again, how's that politics? Oh, you just got to vote harder. You know that old expression, if voting changed anything, well, it'd be deemed illegal, right? So, but anyways, keep believing, keep up that faith in the state and keep hoping, I guess, that if you just vote hard enough, right, just get that right man at the top of your political structure, that's going to change everything. Like, holy fucking idol worshiping motherfuckers. I am really, truly sick of this stuff. I really am, from both sides, which is why, yeah, I'm definitely now, I'm looking to more align with people who actually genuinely care about freedom, care about discussing ideas. Fuck the left, fuck the right. Like I say, and as far as I'm concerned, let the swamp rise, and because we're all going to fucking, well, actually, we're not. That's the thing. We're not all going to suffocate equally, right? But hey, you're all going to suffer under the same swamp that I am. So, like I say, enjoy it. Keep playing that politics. But we libertarians, we're going to be sitting here, right? Well, not necessarily sitting here, actually. I'm sitting when I'm doing my videos per se, but I'm out and around. I'm talking. I'm doing a lot of things, even in my own, and much more active in my own personal life. But yeah, we'll be here doing our things. We're going to make sure in our own personal life we're prepared for no matter what. But like I say, we're also here, waiting in the winds. If the people on the left and the right ever stop with the fucking insanity, right, where you think you're just going to clobber your opponent over the head and that's somehow going to create freedom, right? Okay. Good luck with all that, right? Just because that's another thing too. Think about the revenge and the retaliation, right? Think of how much salivating, how much chomping at the bit the Democrats and their supporters were in trying to get Trump out of office. And not only did they manage to accomplish that, they got the House, they got the Senate, and they got the fucking the White House, like the presidency. So, like I say, wait, see how this is going to play out. And as far as I'm concerned, good. I wanted to get. Obviously, things just aren't bad enough for enough people, right? People, listen, trust me, incentive structures work. They always have and they always will. And to pretend or suggest otherwise is, well, then you're not human. You're not alive. So don't have to worry about you. But incentives. If people suffer enough, because that's the thing, people are finding ways that they don't have to suffer under the current big government by using big government to subsidize them. Right? So like every time big government steals $1,000 for them, well, they just clamor, petition or protest or just vote harder, and the government says, well, here, I'll give you $500 back. It's like, well, that's better than nothing, right? It's like, but they stole $1,000 off you. You do that enough times and you end up really you end up with the government taking a whole lot from you. But that's the thing, people are willing to convince themselves, but at least they gave me $500 back. Okay, well, you enjoy that $500, but next time's not going to be 1,000, might be 10,000, right? And rather than you get back 500, you might get 50 out of it. So anyways, keep playing these stupid games. You'll keep winning the same stupid prizes. But I know, once again, that's just me actually not talking to the folks predominantly that would be watching this video, but I'm basically, when I say this stuff, I'm giving you, don't have to use my words exactly, but if you want to talk to the status among you and your family, because really that's what needs to take place. We need to talk to the status among us, or stop aligning with them, or stop supporting them, or just do something, right? To try to shake people out of their goddamn indoctrinated slumbers, because whatever's happening so far, like the politics game, right? It's just not working, is it? It's just not working. And every time, like I say, every time we Canadians try to bring things like the philosophy of liberty, ideas and principles to the forefront, there's always some fucking pigeon, whether they come from the left or right, just want to shit on the fucking chessboard and do their own thing, because it's all about politics at the end of the day. So, okay, well, whatever, do your thing. But like I say, and like I'll keep saying, and I'll be here saying time and time again, how's it working out for you? Yeah. Anyways, let me, but yeah, so I just wanted to touch down, obviously, on the whole Trump thing down in the U.S., but the main thing I wanted to cover is this article. Well, there's lots and lots, as you folks probably realize, there's tons of stuff to cover here. But let me just get to this one. And in terms of the audio, I don't want to mess with my, got a new mic, by the way. I appreciate the donations. This mic is from the little bit that I did receive from YouTube in terms of my payout and the fine support from you fine folks who have made donations in the past. Like I said, I really, really appreciate that. And Eva, for the very generous donation that you and was it your husband or your boyfriend that donated? Like I say, thanks for all you folks. That definitely helps me. But anyways, let's get to this. So this is a Canada's slow drip vaccine roll. Yes, slow drip. Yeah. But just listen, like I say, to me, this is so important. People always say, well, why do you watch the CBC? Or why do you listen to these idiots in the CBC? Like, do you not realize who's lording over you? Who's ruling over you? Who are your thought leaders in this country? Because if you don't, well, I've been trying to explain to you folks for a while, but these are the people, it's the fucking hacks in the CBC. It's the hacks in the established media who keep parroting the political talk. These are the people who are controlling the minds of the masses as it is, right? Currently, right? Sorry, that's just a reality. So, you gotta, at the very least, you kind of gotta know where to focus your attention. And this is why I pay attention to these hacks of the CBC, because these are the people who are driving the narrative and completely dictating and controlling the minds of the masses in terms of how things are unfolding as it relates to COVID-19. I mean, come on. How do you think you got Canadians past, and we just need 2 weeks to flatten the curve to basically a full year later almost, or we're getting close to that point, right? What, with 10 months now to not only is it things not getting better, but they've gotten progressively worse. Progressively. Yeah, use that word fucking properly, right? Progressively worse, right? And it's only looking worse. Like the title of this stream suggests, dark days ahead. Many, many folks, right? Nothing, no clearing, no sunlight so far, just darker and darker days. And they're even suggesting that themselves. So let me get to playing this here. Oh, I'll bring the whole thing right up. Okay. There we go. So the first part was at 158. So let's just listen to this little part here.
So before we talk about the vaccine rollout, I just want to note how it works here. So essentially, the federal government is delivering the vaccine to distribution centers across the country. And Andre, big picture here against a global backdrop, how would you characterize the job that Canada is doing?
I think big picture, it's a middling job. We've been very slow to vaccinate, to use the stock that we have. And the other part of the equation is we don't have very much stock now. So it's kind of a double barrel problem, but we're doing much worse than many countries in the world, unfortunately.
Doing much worse than many countries of the world. As a matter of fact, as it goes on further, you'll hear he says they're basically like in 10th place in terms of the most advanced developed countries. And, that's the thing. This is the thing. Reality over rhetoric, folks. Listen to the way the media and the Trudeau fucking acolytes and even Trudeau himself, or even the premiers, they keep this constant. This is the problem I've seen in this country, which really, really, really fucking irks me. And I realize that this is at the core of the problem with most of the people in this country. If you keep fucking patting people on the back and telling them they're the best when they suck fucking ass, well, you're not helping them. You're not helping anyone in society. You're not helping yourself. You're just trying to not hurt their feelings, I guess. But in reality, Canada is constantly touted and promoted by, like I say, these, and they pretend that they're not even nationalists. Like Trudeau, we're a post-national state, right? But he constantly promote Canada as being so exceptional. It's like, what the fuck? Make up your mind, you schizo fucking goddamn dipshit, right? Well, you got fucking bipolar disorder or something. What's wrong with you? Why do you keep suggesting and pretend? And that's the thing. Canada, what is Canada? It's comprised of 38 million people. So really, what you're talking about, it should genuinely be the ideas that are supposed to be representative of what the Canadian people stand for, right? Strong and free. I'm not seeing either of those things play out anywhere, right? Strong and free, independent. None of that. Conformity, right? Cowardness. I mean, look out there around you. And you look at the 38 million, or at least the percentage of that 38 million that you see every day. Does that look like a population of people that are strong and free, right? Brave and courageous, right? In the face of dangers? No, they look very much weak, look very much inept, look very much cowardly and conformist, don't they? That is the true country that you live in, folks. And yes, there are exception outliers, people like myself, people who keep sticking our heads above the fucking, the rest of the crowd, hoping that we don't get picked off too early, right? But we are a small representation. We're a small minority. The reality is that most of the people in this country, I mean, it's just every day, it's just in your fucking face, proof. No. And to think that they're ever going to change like overnight, like, how do you think that changes? It doesn't. Like I said, this is a long process. And those of us in the liberty movement, we've been working hard for 10 years, but the fucking pigeons keep fucking stepping on the board and shitting it and setting us back. Well, we're back basically almost another decade. Well, let's say out of the last 10 years, all the hard work and effort that those of us who are trying to promote and espouse the ideas of liberty and the principles, right? Let's say out of the last 10 years, maybe we can say a year of it we've managed to retain. The other 9 years, we might as well just piss them away, right? It's like back to square one, I guess, right? Because once everyone's doubled down onto the statist bullshit, well, as a libertarian, it's like, oh yeah, now everyone's into the cult again. Their minds are all conducive with believing in the state, and now we got to try to unwind that fucking shit now. And it's not just for their opponents, but even for the Trumps of the world and stuff. Like, oh yeah, we got a lot of work. And maybe there's some days where I think, why do we even bother? Why do we even bother? People don't want their freedom. And I like another thing I just can't help but acknowledge, I guess they just haven't suffered enough, or at least not enough people. Well, there are some people in this country that have suffered tremendously, unbearable suffering, right? That's why suicide rates are so high. So there's definitely unbearable suffering being experienced by, a substantial portion of the population, but obviously not enough, or at least there's not enough people who give a fuck about those who are suffering, right? Because the people who are suffering are obviously suffering, but the people that are claiming to be so benevolent, right? The lockdowners, the pro-lockdowners, they claim it's all about protecting people. We got to help. It's all about sacrificing for the greater good, but the greater good's suffering, and suffering even worse and more so under these lockdowns. Like I say, to suggest that you can give people a good, healthy psychology and they're going to feel better by saying, I'm going to restrict even more your freedoms. I'm going to close things off even more so for you, right? I'm going to destroy your livelihood. I just don't understand the insanity of these people who believe that this kind of strategy. I mean, the fucking proof is literally in the pudding and all around us that these lockdowns don't work. They don't work. They actually keep making things worse. Remember earlier on when there was no lockdown, especially here in New Brunswick? I've been here the whole time. Fucking very few cases. Matter of fact, you could go a week, couple weeks, never even hear of one fucking case, one active case. What? As soon as Blaine Higgs got his majority, right? He was in majority position. He got his majority though, and started into the lockdown, started mandating the mask now. And just look at the timeline. And my videos, my streams have covered it. Well, my streams have covered the timeline perfectly. You can't deny it, right? Just see. Lockdowns, harsher restrictions, more mandates, more impositions on our liberties. Now things are getting worse. And what are they saying? It's only going to continue to get worse. And why? Because they're going to keep doubling down on the same fucking insanity. So once again, why do people trust these, whether it's people in the healthcare field who are doing an end run around the Constitution and saying, oh, like, did anyone ever, I never voted for Theresa Tam. I never voted for, well, first of all, I don't vote for any of these hacks, but did you vote for Theresa Tam or was it Jennifer Russell? And that's the thing. The government's now using this end run around and using legalese to put us into lockdowns, and that's completely unconstitutional. And what they just keep getting it fucking renewed was this like the FISA courts down in the US? They just keep rubber stamping every fucking because the courts are supposed to be the ones that determine. They're supposed to have to go in and keep giving new excuses, valid reasons as to why they're keeping people locked down, shut in, silenced, and muzzled, right? But who's the one that's out there? I'm not hearing even CBC reporting on these rubber stamps, right? Because I do know that they're supposed to go in federally or provincially. You have to go in if you're going to mandate some of these things that are outside the bounds of constitutional norms, which, yeah, the escape clause that's in the Constitution says, yeah, we can override all your rights. But even in that, there's disclaimers that say, yeah, but you have to keep proving at least once a month or so the reason why you want to maintain these restrictions. Martial law was never meant to be like something that you can impose on a population indefinitely, right? Fuck, even in the most authoritarian regimes on the planet, never suggested or pretend that they could just impose martial law or locking down the entire society indefinitely until further notice. What the? But this is the fucking crazy ass world. This is the crazy ass country that we live in. And like I say, the most of the people apparently have just shown a willingness to roll over and accept it. And to me, it's devastating. It tells me, it's devastating, but it helps me at least in my decision making going forward, because to know that this is how things are going to play out, and seeing that there is no change, there is no challenge, there's nothing, like I say, there's no escape. So, like I keep saying, just prepare accordingly, folks.
Krishana, we hear governments at various levels say that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have been hard to transport because they need to be stored at colder temperatures between -80 and -60 degrees. But
Actually, I'm
other
getting to the next
countries,
one.
other states
Yeah, other
in the
places are
US,
doing
they
much
made it
better. Yeah,
work.
we know
The
that.
vaccine administration
Okay.
sites
For
in strategy does not have to or transport it to long.
Typically reflect most of its vaccination in hospitals rather than long-term care homes. There's been some of that around the country, but that's really been the focus. I think that's just largely a reflection of our system. Our system is very hospital-centric.
Yes, this socialist system that people keep touting as being so superior. Oh, all those dumb Americans, right? Oh, they suck so bad without their universal healthcare system. Yeah, meanwhile, millions of people down there in that country, and think about it, even the very corporations that invented these things were ones that actually still at least quasi. I know it's all, everything now is just the third way, mixing of government and all this shit. But at least there's still some small semblance of belief that they have freedom and there's actual competition in the marketplace in the US, right? So that's what, and that's why you see that all these innovations, all these things, it happens in a country where innovation, entrepreneurship, ambition, goals, and market competition, all that stuff at least still exists to a certain degree. In Canada, no, it's hospital centric. That's just another way of saying it's all big government centric. Hospital centric. It's all big government. Government wants to be, what it is government controls the healthcare, right? In this country. And it's so centrally planned, so monopolized that there's no way to, like I say, and these people, they're acting all frustrated with if there was a private market for healthcare in this country, you would see that this stuff would be rolling out. Well, something maybe along the lines of like Israel or the US, right? The two places that you're seeing of actually, doing a much, much, much better job in terms of getting those vaccines. Once again, not that I'm looking for one, but for those who do, even Canada, you're probably seeing the reports. I'll try to share that in the description as well about all the snowbirds in Canada that are going down to Florida now, and they're getting their vaccines. But yeah, even though they're Canadian, they're getting their vaccines immediately. Now they're having to pay for it, but they're getting it, boom, right there. In the US, or I think actually maybe some of them, if they're seniors and all, might not even have to pay for it because maybe their health care or their whatever the hell is covering the cost for them. So, but they're getting their vaccines in the US. So in Canada, no, sorry, we can't help you out there, but if you go down in the US, you can. But then the hacks in the media be sitting there constantly like, oh, the Americans, oh, that's such a terrible country. Oh, they're the worst. Oh, like, once again, fucking rally over rhetoric, folks. Rally over rhetoric. That's really, really important stuff, right?
Overall. And so it's not too surprising it happened like that. Should it be like that? Probably not. Public health has a history of doing mass vaccination, and they should probably be in charge of this rather than hospitals. And the real problem, I think, is not the sites, etc. I think the problem was one of politics. There just seemed to be a lack of political will, a lack of urgency in this. And I just don't understand why that was the case.
Oh, you don't? I can tell you. I mean, incentive. Who's all dying? Old people. Deaths are so high. Once again, I mean, we all know I've covered this stuff so extensively. Think about the unfunded liabilities and entitlements that have been built up since the 1950s, right? I mean, we've already had the greatest and silent generation on the dole on big government, not employed by the government, but the pensions, right? The CPP and getting their free socialized health care and subsidize this, subsidize that, subsidize this, prescriptions, that. I mean, and it's been on a long run. Like even my grandmother, God love her and rest her soul, she passed away here recently, but even she was what, 50, 60 years on government assistance, right? After she divorced my grandfather and all that stuff. And that's quite expensive, right? For someone that has never contributed basically in their entire life for society to pay for them for that entire time. It's expensive stuff, folks. And this is my grandmother, not saying that's the best, but I'm saying that was the greatest silence generation, which was a tremendous amount of people already. But now we've got the boomers. We all know that the boomers are all now into they're old, right? They're becoming seniors every year. You know, however many hundreds of thousands or millions of boomers are turning, you know, in becoming seniors and not just getting their government pension, but you know, as you get older, you need all the, like I say, all that medical attention and help, right? It's the seniors. We all know young people don't consume much in terms of healthcare resources. It's mostly old people. And you know, if there's a way that you can, once again, I'm not even suggesting this is conspiring. I'm just saying incentive structure or incompetence, either way, right? But if a substantial portion of your elder population, and like I say, with the boomers, which is the largest cohort, think about it, the boomers. And the reason why they call it the boomer bulge is because if you look at demographics, the boomer bulge was huge, right? Had to try to repopulate after losing a lot of men to the world wars, right? So that boomer bulge is huge, and that's coming through the pipeline. All these people that are going to rely on big government infrastructure and these entitlements and unfunded liabilities. That, like, who's paying for this stuff, right? Well, no, I mean, obviously with the debts and the deficits getting to the degree that they are today, where they're just so fucking far out of sight. They're not just up in the skies, man. They're outside the universe or solar system at this point in time, right? But yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I just know that anyone at this point in time who still holds out faith and trust in not just the politicians and the media, but those who represent the establishment, even in the healthcare in the system in this country, I don't know what to tell you, folks. I mean, if you need to do that for your fields or because you got someone in your family that's in the healthcare field and you're like, I just don't want to disturb them. I don't want to say anything negative about them. I don't want to argue. I don't want to cause any, conflict. Well, okay. Well, things are only going to get progressively worse once again.
Public health and their history with mass vaccinations. I'm thinking about New York here as well. I know in New York, county officials are angry. They're saying that years of planning for mass vaccinations using local public health departments is essentially being pushed aside
to the next
by the
one,
administration of Governor Andrew. Do you have a sense
All the pieces that
Online or by text. Canada is not ready for that.
I do want to note
wait.
before we move on, because it's important that Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and in the Gaza Strip will not be vaccinated by Israel, a responsibility that some aid groups believe Israel shares with Palestinian officials. I know that the military is also playing a really important role in vaccinating Israelis. And Krishnana, do you think that the military should be brought in more here in Canada? In Arizona, for example, the National Guard is being brought in as well.
So talking about the military and the National Guard, I'm just going to pull this off here real quick, folks, because, I wanted to bring this up to you, too. Actually, I've had this. I got to make sure I get my notifications out there. But I've had this up here shared on my social media pages there. Yeah, I better post this stuff up for a while. Matter of fact, it's been sitting on the back burner for a little while now. I'll give you the date precisely as soon as I get this. I forgot to share all the links here. But when it comes to bringing the military, that's one thing I will say. And I still hold out hope. To this day, I hold out hope. And based on some of the military guys that I know personally, I've talked to in the past, even some of the ones that maybe we're not necessarily, on good terms right now, well, because we've had our disputes in the past. But I firmly believe that a lot of these folks, if ever given the order to impose anything on the people that they recognize as unjust or unconstitutional or illegitimate, I really do hope there are a lot of non-order followers in this country. And at the very least, I can say there's at least one, and in a fairly high position, I'll add. So let me share this here with you folks. So this was out of the Ottawa Citizen, I believe. Yeah, so this was out of the Ottawa Citizen. When exactly was this posted? December 8th, 2020 by David Pugliese. Investigation launched after Canadian Forces member called on fellow soldiers to ignore orders to help distribute COVID vaccine. So, Canadian Forces member. So let's see what rank he actually has as a Canadian Forces member. Spoke at an anti-lockdown rally in Toronto on the weekend and called on military personnel to disobey orders to help in their distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. The individual dressed in a Canadian Forces uniform was introduced by organizers of the rally as Leslie Kenderezi. The man also wore a military name tag with that same name. The Department of National Defense confirmed Tuesday that Kenderezi is an individual speaking at a rally and that he's a serving member in the Canadian Forces. I'm asking military right now, serving, truck drivers, medical engineers, whatever you are, do not take this unlawful order for the distribution of this vaccine, Kenderezi said in the rally. A video of his speech was posted on YouTube. Kenderezi, who had a knife strapped to his uniform and was carrying a helmet, questioned the safety of taking the vaccine. What the fuck is the point of that? What the fuck? Like I say, the media, they hate you. If you challenge the establishment, the status quo, it just goes to show you how much a lot of these contributors to the establishment media are, well, they're part of it, folks. They recognize you as the threat. They recognize this individual for not going along, right, as a threat. I might get a lot of shit for doing this, but I don't care anymore, he said. The crowd cheered his speech. Anyway, so like I say, I'll get back, or I'll make sure to post this and the link of the description of the stream below. Like I say, let me get back to that article, because like I say, when you talk about the military, I just really, cops, I got to tell you, folks, people who are actually part of the law enforcement or police or peace officers, no, there's no peace officers anymore, once again, or these bylaw officers, no trait in their entire organization. But if there is one thing that always stands out to me, which is why I still kind of sit on the fence, is in terms of, can you trust people in the military or not when society truly breaks down? Well, I just have to think that a lot of these guys, predominantly men in the military, and especially in particular, and most of them, especially the ones I've known over the course of my life, were raised in predominantly Christian-oriented, conservative type families and stuff. I just gotta think that the most important thing to them is the fact that they're supposed to be defending the people, right? Not the government. The military is supposed to be protecting the people from any threats, right? So I'm hoping that part of their mind that constantly gives them that protectorate mentality or psychology has the willingness, well, at least if they understand, to defend the Canadian people, not just against foreign threats, domestic threats as well. And I believe that does exist in the minds of many of the people who are part and parcel of the military in this country. And thank goodness for that, right? Because who knows how things are going to unfold in the not so distant future. But anyways, let me get back to this article once again. And get back, because lots more to be said. Okay, here we go. 10:24. Yeah, okay, so okay.
In terms of vaccinations, I think, like Andre said, I think Israel did a phenomenal job in terms of mobilizing all the pieces that needed to be mobilized in a timely manner. And if bringing in the military to do so would be helpful, then yes. But I'm at a point where whatever strategy or whoever is the best strategic lead on this needs to be the person leading this. I think right now we've had so many delays and missed.
Okay, anyways, the next part of it, 18 minutes. 18, oh, that's 19, so 18:07. Yeah, this is probably the most disturbing part here. Let me just play a little bit longer.
And Andre, you also mentioned earlier that Israel had done an excellent job, ordering early and sort of paying these premiums.
I think this was it here.
Is there a scenario here in which the next stage of this could be a pipeline problem? Could the provinces essentially catch up, and then we do run out of vaccines, and then we would be heading towards a supply problem?
I would say it's 100% certain that we're going to have a supply problem in very short order. We know that. Is that solvable? Probably not at this point. It goes back to we waited late to order. We tried to make up for it by signing a lot of contracts. We've signed contracts with 7 different manufacturers.
So fail.
Now the question though is, when will those doses arrive? And it's not going to be quickly.
I wonder if I could ask you both to reflect on what you think the next 6 months is actually going to look like.
Considering everything that we've discussed and what Andre just mentioned, especially around the supply issue, I think one of the most important points, though, that we should make to the public is whether or not you have been vaccinated is for people to continue to follow public health measures, for people to continue wearing their masks, continue with physical distancing.
So you heard that, right? Even if you've been vaccinated, even if you've put up with all this bullshit and you're one of those believers in the vaccine and all I got to do is just roll up my sleeve, get the shot, and government will set me free. Well, this lady's telling you. CBC, and it's not just this one and not just the other guy that's on this thing. They're all going to be telling you the same thing here. Don't get your hopes up anytime soon that you're going to get back to any semblance of normalcy or having any of those freedoms respected or returned to you. Not for a week, not for just 2 weeks to flatten the curve, but
And continuing to stay at home if they're ever so privileged to do so, especially if they're sick, and continue to wash hands and not mix within households. I'm definitely sure we're going to continue to see our situation that we're in right now be extended for several more months. I don't see us being able to be out and about normally within the next 6 months. So I think we all need to hunker down.
so this late within the next 6 months, don't even for even another half a year, right? Way off into the summer months of 2021. Between now and then, don't think for 1 second that you're going to gain any freedom back, even if you've gotten the vaccine. Like I say, who the fuck is left other than people who are part of the system and are fucking indoctrinated in the mindset, the cult of statism, or just too stupid to think critically? Or, like I say, that countless fucking mass out there, the countless people, the mindless minions who just have no clue what the fuck is going on. And apparently nobody in their family, nobody in their community, nobody, like, what the hell? People like us that do this kind of stuff, if you're not using the content that we produce to fucking educate and inform other people, and you're just consuming it for yourself, and like I say, how are we going to get out from any, like, and I've said so many times in the past, if you don't even want to use my video or someone else's fucking video, if you don't like the way we talk or how we articulate, then do it yourself. But obviously, these conversations are not taking place across this country the way they should be. They're really not. I don't know what it is with people that, like I say, everyone's become like to the point where they're just too scared and cowardly to confront anyone, right? It's like we're all just, like I say, everyone's headed off on their own proverbial cliff and nobody's willing to stay. Listen, we're all headed off a cliff here. Maybe we should change direction. No? Anybody? No. You're dragging me down with you though, folks. That's the problem. That's the problem with, I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to this last little bit here.
Realize that we're probably going to continue to be in this current situation.
All right, Andre, onward to you.
Well, I really hate to say this, but I think that all the indications are that the next 2-3 months are actually going to be the worst of the pandemic yet. So I think there's a lot of dark days.
Not just the worst. I mean, not just, continue to be as bad as they are. They're going to get worse, folks. They're telecasting, right? They're forecasting. That's the thing with these people that didn't have no clue, right? Or actually, that it's not that they didn't have a clue. They fucking basically lied. Those in the healthcare field and Theresa Tam, remember when it first started happening? First of all, they wouldn't shut down the border. I shared that in my past video, right? Or as another one coming up. They wouldn't close the fucking border because, if we close the border to China, we're going to be perceived as what? Xenophobes or whatever the fuck, right? So they allowed this shit. They continue to allow international travel constantly, basically unfettered, right? So it's just a constant influx because this virus comes from a foreign country halfway around the fucking planet, right? So anyways, but they continued all that shit to allow it to happen. And back in the time when, might have been a little more, that's the thing. I'm not for any of these mandates, but if you were for like mask, get people to wear masks, like early on before the viruses had any chance to spread, that would have basically stopped it dead in its tracks. Well, that's what some people suggest, but no, don't wear masks. No. Masks might actually be counter productive. Actually, might even be worse for you, is what the Theresa Tam and the rest of her provincial counterparts were saying at the time, right? But now, like I say, once enough time has gone by, what we realize is that big government, these people in the healthcare fields, right? No, they were caught with their pants down. They didn't have enough actual products or masks or all these what they needed, right? They didn't have enough supply, so they were like, no, fuck you. We need to keep them for our peeps. Yes, fuck you. If you old people die or if you young people, have to lose your jobs. No, we're circling our wagons over here, and be damned with the rest of you, right? That's what happened, folks. That is literally what happened. And I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of a bad thing, right? And to think that if that's the kind of precedent they'll set at that time, well, you think they're not going to continue down the same path? Well, you think there's some all of a sudden now change who they are as people, right? They're going to have their coming to God moment. Highly doubtful, folks.
Is ahead, but the light at the end of the tunnel is vaccines, getting vaccines into people. But that
there you go, folks. Well,
realistically, it's only going to start on a large scale in the spring and the summer.
So there you go, folks. No, the only thing, like the vaccine, the message I keep hearing time and time again is not until everybody, no freedom, not even once it starts rolling out. It's like once we feel like we've made it so that we think everybody, like we've perfected everything in society, we're okay. Like when the fuck has that ever happened? I guarantee you one thing, folks, I won't be holding my breath because I've seen, and as much as they try to pump up and now they're going to come up with different propaganda campaigns because they realize, oh, fuck, we've been trying to run rickshaw over the people so much. No, now they don't trust us. Even the polls that try to heavily skew in favor of pro-vaccine, even them, they're seeing at least 30 to 40% of the population is like, nah, no thanks. No thanks. Don't want them to. Hey, healthcare professionals, both in Canada and the US, and I covered those articles in a past stream, and I'll cover them again in another stream, is even up to half. What was it? The one I was covering from the Los Angeles Times, up to half of people in healthcare jurisdictions in that state are like, nope, I don't want the vaccine. So even people that are in the healthcare field, half of them are saying, hell no, I don't want it, right? And we're seeing in Canada, like I say, even with the propaganda campaign, and it's thick and heavy, but we're seeing even with the numbers skewed higher than, you know, the way they manipulate and sample, right? You're still seeing at least a third of the population saying, nope, not happening. And I mean, I'm definitely part of that. So if you need 80, 90%, what this person was saying, other people are saying lower, and you got 30% that won't, well, I guess we never get free, right? Or like I say, think about it when they get close to that 60 or 70%, they just need another 20% more. Do you not think the incentive structure is not going to be set up to make sure, oh, we're going to make sure these last 20% get their fucking shot, whether they fucking like it or not, right? Because then they'll have the rest of the population already done, already covered. And all the people like, you mean the only way I'm not, think about it. Imagine the scenario. You've all gotten your vaccination, right? Right? You went and got your vaccination. You've done all that stuff for the last 10 months, or maybe at that time, like a year, right? Or a year and a half, who knows how long, but you've been wearing your mask, right? You've been fucking social distancing. You haven't seen your family members or your friends or all these people that you've had to isolate and basically leave behind, right? For months and months and months, all this time on end. And you're like, I just want to get back to free. And the government comes out, or CBC comes out with an article. It's like, oh, let's say it's March of next year. It's like, yeah, we got 53% of the population vaccinated, but at the very least, we need 70. Let's say 70 is the bare minimum. Then we can open things up. That last 17%, you don't think that 53% of the people who got the vaccine, in conjunction with the media mouthpieces, the political class, right, the corporate world, right, you don't think these people are going to like, oh, don't worry, we'll deal with that last 17%. That's when the bullying, that's when the intimidation, that's when no, you're fired if you don't get it. That's what, no, you can't come in. We won't service you. We won't provide this to you. We won't sell you this. That's when that stuff's all going to come in. And like I say, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not pretending. But if you doubt me, well, just wait long enough to see that, damn it, the guy was right again, right? Because I'm fucking pretty confident in that one, right? There's always possibility. Like I say, that's one thing about me. I always realize things can change, right? We are humans. We have free will. Things can change. But when I see a trajectory and a path, I recognize that it is still possible. But this one, yeah, I'm pretty willing. Well, obviously, I'm willing to stake my reputation on the fact that I believe that things are going to get, and they're basically admitted themselves, progressively worse, as I've said multiple times already, before they're going to get better. And who's to say that even a year or two out, the pretense that it might get better is, how do they know that how things are going to unfold after all this bullshit, right? I mean, what the fuck do we even pretend that they're going to have any clue what kind of population you're going to end up with, whether it's going to be prosperous, healthy, and everyone all kumbaya? I don't know, because it isn't just the vaccine, folks. I mean, think about all the other social and economic issues that people like myself have been talking about, for a decade now, right? So even without the vaccine, even without COVID, things were not getting better. things were, once again, only getting fucking worse. So anyways, let me get back, see what's going on in the chat here. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yes, I did do that actually. Oh, here, let me pull this off here real quick. Like I say, I'll put this, I don't need to keep that in there anymore, but I'll definitely place it in the link in the description of the stream below. But yeah, thanks there, Mr. Tarsan Turkey. Tarsan Turkey. Right on, that's a good one. Tarsan Turkey. Yeah, I do have a BitChute account, and I actually put it right there. I wish it actually said Canadian Libertarian, but they use these things here. But if you click on that link, it'll take you straight to my channel, or just go to BitChute and type in Canadian Libertarian. You'll find that easily there. I'm definitely over there, and I'm on a few other social media platforms too. 9 days to boom. The full crime has been committed. The swamp is ready to be drained. Yeah. Well, are you still holding out on that? I mean, go ahead. I'm all for it. And matter of fact, I keep saying to people like even my son, he kind of a little bit holding out, a little bit, still a little hope. It's like, man, I hope you prove me wrong. I really, really, I'm kind of begging that you prove me wrong, and that the people that, but once again, in a way, sounds good in theory, but not really, because the kind of people who are still I think are still going to want to bring and support Trump are also authoritarian collectivists themselves. They just can't stand. This is the problem with libertarians: is no matter what side gets in power or retains power, I don't believe 100% that we're going to be like that. We're friendlies to them. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think so. So, I mean, we could try to get along just like me. I try to get along with as many as humanly possible, but I don't to be. But hey, U.S. is the U.S. and what's going to happen down there is going to happen to down there. I sure shit don't have any control over the outcome. But that's another thing too. I'm in Canada, folks. I'm in Canada, so I know what happens in the U.S. definitely affects Canada, but what happens here kind of affects us too. So I'm just kind of sticking to what's going on in this country for now, anyways. But yeah, hey, what's going on, Dave? Dismantled. Morning to y'all. Just listening in for now. Right on. Actually, let me point out a couple of other things too. Because, yeah, I talked to my good friend Anthony Samarov over there in Scotland, and I believe it's tomorrow or Monday. I believe I'm still waiting to confirm on the time, but it's going to be, yes, Wednesday, January 13th at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Should be the time, like, once again. Well, you'll see when I set up my stream if the time's changed, but it's definitely going to be Wednesday, January 13th. Me and Anthony Samarov from the Scottish Liberty Party is going to be having a conversation. And actually, I'll mention just in case Tim got a chance to come to the stream today. Sorry I missed. Tim had sent me a message last night, but I had got offline after supper and I just didn't go back on. And unfortunately, I wish I had him now because Tim invited me to join him on a stream last night. And unfortunately, I missed that. But I'll be definitely checking that out in a bit. And if you haven't already, definitely check out Tim's channel, Tim and Dave's channel. Tim Mullen, Liberty Journey, I believe it's called. Or no, they've changed it. Sorry, that's what it used to be called. Now, sorry, it's called the Liberty Experts, right? So definitely check out the Liberty Experts because those guys put out some excellent content. And really, like I said, I mean, when it comes to politics, for those of you who still want to hold out hope and place faith in the process, hey, once again, listen, test your hypothesis. But if you're going to do it from now on, especially in Canada and the US, let's here's a novel idea. Rather than using the deep state actors and their established parties, right, and hoping that you'll be able to change them from within. Ron Paul tried it with the Republican Party. Hey, Trump tried it with the Republican Party. Now, Trump tried a totally different way than Ron Paul would have, right? And even up here, like what the conservatives out west, they went from the progressive conservatives to the UCP to the Wild Rose that joined with the Wild Rose that joined. And now they have but once again, none of these are people. They're never going to fucking go against, like I say, it's all about incentive. And these people have benefited from the establishment, the status quo. So they're not the ones that's going to upend the status quo. Folks, you want that, it literally has to come, not just from an outsider that's not part of the establishment, the status quo, but even like in terms of in Canada, the Libertarian Party of Canada, under the leadership of Tim Mullen. Because once again, this is the only way it's going to work. If you want to support anyone in the political process, no half-ass measures, and nothing against the PPC folks, but that party needs to just fucking go off. It was a good little run, good little experiment, but yeah, for those who care about liberty, we don't need another option. There's a Libertarian Party in this country, And it's not going to be milquetoast. It's not going to fucking, I know it's under a leader that's not going to try to play political games or throw libertarians under the bus. It's all about the ideas. It's not about the party at the end of the day. And you talk to Tim Owen and anyone who has listened to my past interviews with him. It's all about the ideas at the end of the day. Tim Owen is not a politician, right? He's just a guy that recognized that in the political world we live in, you got to have that option at least available to you. And he's been carrying that torch for quite some time. And like, I'm really appreciative of the fact that he continues to do so because he's very busy even in his own life, right? But yeah, if there's going to be any politics in this country, if you want to challenge the status quo, you stop with these middle ground fucking initiatives. You have to go, like, you have to, once again, just try it. For all the people say, oh, that'll never work. It's like, well, if you at least tried it just one time, you will be able to say at least that one time if you actually gave it a valiant effort. And I don't mean someone's just, okay, don't even put any effort. I mean, put an actual valiant effort into just trying one time to put an actual principled fucking someone that's as principled as Tim Owen and is not part and parcel of the establishment and doesn't have to play ball with the establishment. Just try one opportunity one time. And that's just in the political realm. While you're doing that, though, I would always suggest to do what you have to do in your personal life and in your community to help shift people in the mindset of respecting each other's sovereignty and freedom. But yeah, when it comes to the politics and the political game, the only game in town, as far as I'm concerned, is one that's actually fully willing, capable, and ready to challenge the status quo without being disrupted. And in Canada, that's the Libertarian Party. And it's probably the same thing in the US, although they're talking a lot down there, right? So, like I say, this is going to all unfold for quite some time. But anyways, let me get back in here. What's going on, Reverend Jim Jones? I check out MSM News daily just for the disgustification factor. Exactly. Lion saying good morning or good evening from Namibia. What's going on, Miles Harper? I just went George Carlin or Norm MacDonald. It just went George Carlin or Norm MacDonald. You know, hey, those are two pretty good dudes, right? I like them. Funny dudes. Oh, well, one's no longer with us, but he's a funny dude. As of a few days ago, Quebec had only vaxxed 38,000, 8.8 million guinea pigs to go. Right? Wow. My beliefs are too inflammatory for science in the world. Well, freedom is it's not a popular position to take these days, apparently. What do you think of the riots in DC? Yeah, it's crazy, Ezra. What's going on? Ezra Markovitz, how you doing? Yeah, it's obviously crazy. I think the spectacle, to me, it's like, unless it's going to be, that's the thing. Either it has to be like, either you had to have had a big enough, I guess, once again, I don't support coup to me, but every time, like, to me, a coup is, you mean some other authoritarian collectivist group is now taking over the reins of power? It's like, as opposed to this authoritarian, it's like, to me, so a coup, it's like, okay, they're all just rulers that aren't really my rulers, but they pretend that they rule over me and they own me in some way, right? So it's like, I don't respect any of these fucking people. I don't respect their positions because I know that their authority is based on bullshit, false premise, right? But I mean, if you're going to do something like that, like genuinely, and with the amount of militia members, like if that was genuinely as a means to try to like do a coup or overturn or prevent the outcome, and that was the biggest fucking fail, right? And that was the biggest failed coup ever by, a country which is supposed to have like basically the most guns on the planet in their jurisdiction, right? The most patriots, the most, like, to me, that was the biggest failed coup ever. So once again, that spectacle alone, I don't know how to tell you to think about that one, but, and then I hear people like, oh no, that was a bunch of Antifa people that infiltrated, or no, it was QAnon. Like, that's why I don't give a shit about any of these. Like I say, the QAnon, Antifa, the Proud Boys, this. It's like this constant, like all you're doing every time you're setting up all these little collectives, it's just more and more teams where you're now creating more areas of division. That's all you're doing at the end of the day. And or allowing people to just, like I say, isolate themselves from each other and function in their own little echo chambers. Like, I would be glad if we were all doing that if we weren't currently functioning under the most dictatorial authoritarian regimes around the fucking planet who are constantly trying to economically enslave us to the tune of multi-generations at once. I mean, Trudeau, think about the fucking money that guy has spent. And I'm going to get to that actually in a little bit here too. So I'm going to move on here a little bit. But there's some crazy stuff going on here, folks. And like I say, even down in the US, the one fucking bastion, that one place that's supposed to understand the importance of defending your freedoms and If they can't make it work down there, and I don't mean, like I say, to suggest that I support it or anything, like even through the political process. And in terms of my thoughts on the political process, is the Democrats did not win legitimately, unless you consider the fact that you can write new laws and fuck around and gerrymander shit and make that legitimate, right? It's like, well, hey, we wrote the law. It's like saying, hey, Hitler, everything Hitler done was legal. It's like, well, yeah, but just because he, forced, the legislature or his one party rule, like to basically make that the law, that doesn't mean that it's legal, right? We understand that, right? That's just because someone writes something as in terms of legislation or as a political act or edict, we get like that. Once again, that's why you have to have a pretty good basis and a grounding in morals and ethics, so you can understand stuff, the difference between legality and whether it's unconstitutional or unjust, right? That because to me it's all just a farce when you're talking about it in the political realm. But anyways, yeah, let me pull up some more stuff because, like I say, so much. So we covered the slow drip vax rollout. Oh, and listen to this one. Actually, let me bring this one up real quick while I've got everything talking about the vaccine. This is what they're doing, folks. This is what's in store next, right? This is January 7th. What's that? Yesterday. Yeah, this one just came out yesterday. Another CBC radio program. Epidemiologist calls for mandatory COVID-19 testing in schools amid rising case counts. Mandatory testing. Well, if you start mandatory testing for everybody in schools, and we know how many of those false positives people are getting from these tests, well, of course, that's going to definitely show a much higher rise in the numbers, right? And that would perfectly align and go right along with how this whole scenario is supposed to play out. Remember that letter I read back, folks? Yeah, the stream 10, so October 17th, 2020. Yeah, check that out. What was it? How far in? I forget. Not too far in, I don't think it was. But anyways, yeah, you check out that video where I read that letter, and you'll see that the timelines, once again, folks, I don't get into conspiracy theories, but like I say, I do recognize incentives, and I do recognize that there are structures who are incentivized to do things in a certain way that sure does seem conspiratorial in nature, right? Okay, so let me pull this one off because, yeah, we don't need to listen to this, but yeah, calling for mandatory. Now, I'll tell you, I don't have kids in school right now, but if I did, well, they definitely wouldn't be going to school. Mandatory. Fuck you, you bastards, right? Anyways, let's get back more. So we did that one. Oh, let me bring this one up too, folks. Because as we know, big tech's out there. Big tech's out there. Like, there's just so much shit going on. No wonder people can't. It's like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm inundated every day with stuff. It's like, none of this stuff makes sense. And just in a minute, you think, well, I just can't take no more. Well, bam! They bring more to you, right? And this is that one. I think I covered it in another past video, but for you folks that might not have seen it or been privy to it, yeah, your credit score should be based on your web history, IMF says. This was reported on December 18th, 2020, and I'll put a place and link to this. But with more services than ever collecting your data, it's easy to start asking why anyone should care about most of it. This is why, because people start having ideas like this. And a new blog post for the International Monetary Fund, 4 researchers presented their findings from a working paper that examines the current relationship between finance and tech, as well as its potential future. Gazing into their crystal ball, the researchers see the possibility of using the data from your browser or from your browsing, search, and purchase history to create a more accurate mechanism for determining the credit rating of an individual business. They believe that this approach could result in greater lending to borrowers who would potentially be denied by traditional financial institution. Okay, just like with, we need to introduce this legislation, that suppresses and silence speech online, but it's only to go against those child predators, right? It's this one. Oh, it's only to help you, to give you better credit. Oh, it'll never turn out the opposite way, right? Like, what the? Anyways, folks, sounds very much more pivoting towards the China model. That thing that Trudeau himself and the Biden administration, they're all fans of the China model. They realize that, damn, they've got what was the exact words Trudeau said? Basically, he admires China's basic dictatorship because they could turn their economy around on a dime. And we know they're trying to turn our economy around on a dime. The Great Reset, the Davos meetings, all these global institutions, the United Nations, right? The writing's on the wall, and it has been for a while, that this is where they're trying to take us to. This is where the West is going to be led, right? Not individual freedom, not the sovereignty of the individual, not the rule of law, but authoritarian collectivism, all based on the mysticism of belief in government as being your new benevolent overlords and rejecting the ideas of Christianity or God. But government is not just your new overlord, but anyone who represents government are the new priest and preacher class, right? So, like I say, folks, and given a few generations of living under that, or this boiling frog approach of slowly getting to this point, what we see in China, apparently you can do it to over 1 billion people. And if you do it in a proper methodology, in a proper way, like China, like these guys are really good at what they do. If you can convince the people, just like the boiling frog, that no, everything's fine, everything's okay, go back to sleep. And obviously the people of China have done so. And I firmly believe, based on the people in this country today, or the bulk of them, I think Canadians are very susceptible to just falling in line, right? To the point where someday, some younger people in some generation will wake up and realize that you fucker, why did you do this to us? Why would you hand over the power and the reins of this much control to these people, knowing that there were people out there warning you how detrimental it was going to be? Did you not listen? Did you not listen to the warning signs whatsoever? Did they not present any evidence or facts that lended credibility to their warnings? Really? Nothing? There was nothing there? You know, they can't offer that up as an excuse or a scenario, because I have been very proactive, and I'm just one person, that I've given all the evidence that is needed or necessary. It's all right there, folks, in black and white and a multitude of other colors, right? But it's just, anyways, yeah, times like this, you kind of get a little discouraged. But anyway, so did I? Yeah, I brought that up there. So I'll place the link on that one as well. Oh, look at this one. Like I say, talk about more hacks in the media that are just loving this shit. Check this stuff out, folks. This Diane Francis. Ain't she quite the little cunt, right? Holy Jesus. Little authoritarian she is. But yeah, so this is what a Canadian contributor to establishment media outlet in this country thinks about the Washington, D.C. riots, as they say, right? Yeah. Here's a response from Diane Francis. Right? Diane Francis, like this chick, like, that's another thing. Where I've watched the rise of it. It's like women in 21st century now, and they actually believe that they're all stronger than men. Well, some of them do. Actually, let me correct that. None of them actually do. Truth of the matter is, these fucking authoritarian progressives and you know, the progressive feminists, or whatever the hell you want to call these people, right? What it is they know they've got the power of the V, and they can control all those men that are part of the enforcement class so easily, so readily, right? Because the power of the V. It's like they've got total, complete control, right? Because the power of the V, right? And nobody will dare them, because they've got entire gangs of people who would defend them. They're the cocks. You got lots of cocks that would defend Diane Francis, right? But because otherwise, I can't imagine this woman would feel this comfortable to say this kind of shit, right? If you lived in a world where we were all truly accountable for our deeds, our actions, or our rhetoric, right? Sure, right? Diane Francis, America's terrorist movement must be crushed, right? Must be crushed. Come on, right? As a guy, and if you're already challenging, and let's say, even if you falsely believe, but let's say you believe in your line, whether, like I say, Antifa or like, to me, it doesn't work on either. It works out either side. So let's say you're Antifa or the Proud Boys or these right wingers that showed up in the Capitol to whatever, but terrorists. But anyways, could you imagine hearing someone like this saying that not only you're not allowed to do that, but you're going to be crushed? Those are fighting words right there. I mean, I'm going to crush you. If somebody said that to your face, those are fighting words. If someone says they're going to crush you, those are fighting words. That's like, let's lock and load. Let's put up the dukes, right? Let's go. That's the kind of rhetoric that's being espoused. And, could you imagine if I titled this, could you imagine if I titled this live stream or uploaded a video or a or posted anything on my social media pages where I said, the left must be crushed, right? Oh, first of all, YouTube would have demonetized. I would have got a strike against my channel. Facebook would have forced me to take it down. I mean, but this is the thing. The establishment, anyone that's representative of the establishment, they get to skirt all the rules entirely. Diane's function under where like there's no rules. She actually has full unfettered freedom of speech to say stuff that you or I, well, we'd be in big time trouble for saying these things, right? The terrorist attack in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday was as serious a wake-up call as 9/11. So, like, talk about some hyperbolic rhetoric, right? It was as serious a wake-up call as 9/11. So they're calling them terrorists, and they got to be crushed. Well, what happened right when the terrorists attacked on 9/11? Well, the U.S. took the full force and might of the U.S. military to try to crush those terrorists. And what? 2001, 20 years later, oh, they're still crushing it, right? They're still crushing it. Hasn't been crushed yet, but millions of people have been died, seriously, have been killed, seriously injured, hospitalized, lost their homes, lost their livelihood, all in the pursuit of crushing terrorists, right? And what is a terrorist? Well, terrorism is a representation of ideas, right? That's the problem with the use of terrorism and why the U.S. is wise for the most part and keeping that fucking label, as far away from political discourse as humanly possible, because terrorists, well, it's all in the eyes of the beholder, right? I mean, either side can look at their opponents as terrorists and label them as such, because what is a terrorist? But someone that's seeking to cause harm for political reason or use violence. I'd say both sides are right in terrorist mode right now. I mean, the fact that they're trying to use government is the biggest tool of violence on the planet, right? So if one person carrying an AR-15 is a terrorist, or 10 people or 1,000 people are terrorists, well, what about the fact that the state represents, hundreds of millions of weapons at their disposal, and not just a little puny AR-15, right? So terrorist organization, every government is a terrorist organization, and it meets that description 100% to a T. But I can't believe that someone in the Canadian publication would dare, and this early on, like I say, let some of these wounds fucking heal a little bit. At least give it some time for the tensions to be at least tamped down a little bit there, lady. But nope, stir that fucking pot, right? Just like the hacks at the CBC. Like, I guess in their gated community, they fucking feel safe and secure, right? Do you? Right? When all these people are feeling safe and secure and they're all like not suffering economically or socially, and you are, well, that's how you know that you're the one that's being ruled over and who the rulers are, right? That's a pretty easy thing to figure out. Anyways, like I say, I'll place a link to this in the description of the stream as well. I don't need to read it. I mean, it's just a bunch of rhetoric from some fucking stupid bitch that's trying to act like she's a general in the military or something. That's trying to crush a terrorist rebellion or incursion. Oh, Christ. Oh yeah. What's this one? Oh yeah, there's this here. So, because I'm going to bring this one up, and you know what? Mostly just to show the hypocrisy, and we've seen it all time and time again. So I'm just going to use the one. I could use a million of them, right? But this is good enough. This is good enough for me, because this one was a good one. So it's like, and it's one of the newest ones, the most recent one. So let's deal with this one, because we've heard so many times that, yeah, you can't go visit your family, all that shit. You have to be locked down. But like I say, rules for thee, but not for me. That's the way it works, folks. And as you can see in this article, unacceptable. Canada public health employee took a trip to Jamaica paid by Air Canada. Dominique Baker, a social influencer, is the manager of a federal program to keep communicable diseases out of Canada. Is she one of those social influencers that's progressive or on the left? Well, at least she's black, so she probably never gets any strikes. Well, I shouldn't suggest this. I don't know, right? But I know YouTube, she at least meets few of the criteria points from what I can guess. Anyways, it's like you get carte responsibility to say whatever the fuck you want and not have to worry about perfecting everything, so you don't have your channel demonetized or your video or your stream demonetized, unlike people like myself, right? Anyways, but anyways, yeah, so a local influencer is a manager of a federal program to keep communicable diseases out of Canada. So it's kind of her job to try to keep communicable diseases out of Canada, while she travels to foreign countries and has the potential to bring communicable diseases to. The president of the Public Health Agency of Canada says it is unacceptable that one of the agency's managers ignored advice and vacation in Jamaica last fall. Lane Stewart says although the trip taken by Dominique Baker in November was not related to her work for the federal agency, its employees are expected to heed the public health advice not to travel. Really? Baker has now removed a blog post from her personal style blog and videos from her Instagram account about an all expense paid trip she took to an expensive resort in Montego Bay in November, but not before her bosses were alerted to the trip. Anyway, so once again, another hypocrite. And these are people, like I say, they're not just hypocrite. Like they're not just like the lowly, like the stationary clerk, although there's probably not too much. Although, yeah, the government still functions as basically most of it as if it were in the 19th century. But, not the people that are the lowest end, but we're seeing time and time again. They not follow the rules themselves, but it's like that. What was that other guy? Was it Alberta guy or whatever? And that chick there, another, that might have been out of Alberta too, or Ontario, but the one that had set up a whole video that made it look like she was, in her living room somewhere in Canada. These people, like I say, it's not just that they're defying all the rules, mandates that we all are forced to have to endure, but they're fucking they're knowingly doing so by deceiving the public, by pretending that they're not doing that, right? So not only are they willing to defy the orders, but they're 100% willing to lie. And yet people, like I said, and these are just people that they're willing to lie, and that's just for their own thing. But do you not believe that they're willing to lie to you to benefit themselves in some way at your disadvantage or to your detriment? Like I say, if they're willing to lie, I don't know. I don't know. Trust has to mean something, right? It has to mean something. Anyway, so there's that. I'm going to get back here into the stream and see what you folks are up to. I see the time or the count there, the people that are watching starting to go down. So I'll probably tie this one up here. Maybe I won't go too long. Maybe another, let's say, 18 minutes for an hour and a half, probably, because like I say, I'm always looking to expand on my reach. If I don't get it, I'll definitely I'll do what I do. But sounds biblical. Where those are the eyes to see. What? Let me scroll back up here. Okay. Joe Biden. Nice. Joe Biden cringe channel. Nice. All by design. Nice name for the channel. I like it. More people died from lack of health care than COVID. Oh, for sure. For sure. He did not concede. Yeah, actually, he did. Here, just for those of you folks that are still touting this stuff, it's like, come on. I guess I gotta fucking do it, right? Whatever. I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what to do anymore because half the people that even like, I mean, come on, man, come on, stop with that stuff. You're not helping fucking nobody, and you're making yourselves look like fucking idiots too. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you don't care about yourself enough to not, but it's like I watched a goddamn video this morning where he basically went against the. Oh, by the way, Trump is over on Parler now, though, so that's kind of cool. That's at least, like say, at least you have somewhere to go. Oh, here it was, where he basically, well, conceded. I guess if you use that specific word, yeah, you might. I don't necessarily think I've heard him concede per se, but I mean, this here kind of sends a bit of a message right here. Let me bring this up real quick. There we go. Yeah, so this was just a tweet that Trump put out this morning, or was it this morning? No, 17 hours ago. So it was yesterday, actually, I guess. So let's just play. It's just a short one, 2 minutes, 41 seconds.
I'd like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high. But now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing.
Did you hear that? I guess he actually did concede. So there it is right there. It's going to be a smooth transition of power. And I've already, multiple people this morning, I've already seen them report on that. Yeah, he's basically, it's a done deal. But I don't know. I'll keep holding it till the 20th, I guess. What happens on the 21st? That's the thing with people when they place these, it's so weird. And I actually, sometimes I feel really, really fucking bad for these people because I realize just how much hardship and how much they're setting themselves up for a wicked fucking fall, right? I even think back to, what was it, the Mayan calendar thing, or in the 2000s. Remember for 2000, and people were saying, oh, the world's going to end because computers don't know how to recognize the year. And all these people I remember even then that were pumping up, it's like, oh, they were so dead set and so sure, right? But then after it turns out that, fuck, it was a big nothing burger and nothing happens. Like, don't you feel that at some point in time, don't you? It's like, fuck, that was kind of stupid. Maybe I shouldn't have placed so much of emphasis and so much, put so much of my time and effort into talking about this stuff when it was all bullshit. It was all for nothing. Or like I say, the Mayan calendar, or in 2012, the end of the world's coming, right? Or even the people that follow Greta, that we only have 10 years. Like all these people that make these fucking ridiculous predictions that are constantly always proven wrong, right? They literally are every fucking time. Like, come on. I mean, no wonder, at some point in time, don't you give up? Don't you stop at least start learning to better verify the information, or at least, maybe holding back a little bit of your resolve and saying, well, maybe this isn't correct. Like that's the thing for me. It's like, that's why I love talking about ideas and philosophy, because this shit that's built on you just got to hope, right? I don't know. That's why I like dealing with things that I can actually know for certain, right? Things that are really, and things that really matter and genuinely to me. I don't know how these people keep themselves going. If I was driven solely based on these fucking beliefs and this shit, it's like, every time I would have given up long ago. Well, maybe that's the problem, right? It's all these goddamn, whether it's QAnon, all these, that's the thing. Keep playing these fucking games once again, and everyone's winning these stupid ass fucking prizes. But what are we winning? We're losing. Trump is basically, like I say, I'll wait, just like for some other people in my life. I'll wait till the 20th, right? Whatever. It is what it is. But then, like I say, then at any point in time, do I get my cred back? Right? Do you people finally just fucking accept, own up, swallow your fucking pride, accept? Well, maybe Bennett, maybe he knows a little bit more what he's talking about, right? Maybe the guy's actually a little bit more intelligent than those of us who keep fucking falling for the same bullshit over and over again. Because that's the thing. And you can get mad at me for saying that. By all means, do so. Walk away. Not going to make one thing. Like I say, I'll be here. Let me, like I say, the people that keep playing these games, let me know when you're done playing the games. And, well, hopefully I'll still be here. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe at some point in time, the fucks that keep playing these fucking games and building up hope on these political fucking ventures, like, all right. Well, like I say, there's going to maybe come a point in time where it's like, oh, look, we finally figured out where we, it's like, oh, where'd Bennett go? Oh, where'd everyone else live and move? Oh, we fucking long moved on. We're done. We're way off doing our own thing, and fuck you people. You're on your own now, right? Might have to be the case. I don't know. Because so far, everything that I've seen so far it's just not working. And every time I've seen where I've even tried to align with anyone that's part and parcel of politics and try to help them in the process, like I say, it doesn't work. And why? Because especially for libertarians and people that care about freedom, if you're going to turn or pivot towards politics, then do it in a manner that's conducive with actually what you promote, right? And like I say, in Canada, the Libertarian Party, well, go read the platform. And tell me what you disagree with on the platform of libertarianism. It's basically like, let's treat each other as adults, don't use force of violence and steal from each other, right? Let's have a live, let mentality. If you don't have that mentality, and if the majority of the population of this country doesn't, then we'll never benefit in the political process. We're always going to lose. Then that's another thing. Then accept and own up to that. But we have to at least try it, right? And if an election was called, yeah, there's no more supporting of middle ground. I would never vote for the Conservatives, and even the people that keep saying, oh, but we got to do it to overthrow Trudeau. Yeah, it won't fall for your stupid game again, right? Because we've seen the Conservatives are just Trudeau lights. Trudeau has a minority government. Are the Conservatives fucking doing anything to try to bring this government down? To find some way to align with any, like, is there nobody in, like, whether it's the NDP, is there no way to even find across party lines a way where you can at least, like, but what it is, they realize they suck so bad they would all fail. Trudeau might not only not lose, but he might actually gain more of a majority, right? Might happen like what happened down the south. So I'm supposed the Conservatives now, but that just goes to show you how much fail you fucking people are in terms of challenging your opponents. It means we're all susceptible to failing because the people that are trying to change and upset things are a bunch of losers and failures themselves. So, or part and parcel of the establishment, and they might spew rhetoric, but they're not really going to step outside their comfort zone. Like even Pierre Poilievre, he says some great things. Listen, I got to say, mad respect for the man for at least having the balls, the courage, and the audacity to say things that no one else in the chamber will say. But he's still getting his government cheddar. He's still getting his government check, right? He's not quitting. Nor not like I'm suggesting that he should, but it's like principles, folks. They're fucking gone by the wayside, and very, very few people retain them these days. And the ones that do got no support, and nobody's paying attention to them. So I don't know. Anyways, back to where was I at here? Yeah, let me just read a few more of the comments here. So we're 122 into. Oh no, there was one other thing I wanted to cover before this one right here. It's called, because this one, yeah, listen to this one. Wait till you hear this, folks. Another disturbing. I mean, what else is new now? It's like, what? I don't know how anyone can get shocked anymore, right? But even me, knowing all these things, but these numbers are just so profound. Make sure you folks can check that out. Yeah, so here you go. This one's a CBC article posted by Robert Asselin, January 6, 2021. It's opinion piece. The $1 trillion question is how federal spending will position the economy for post-pandemic success. So once again, as you've seen before, submitted opinion pieces will at least try in some way to challenge, right, the status quo of the establishment. And in here you're seeing at least, and to me, it's like, it's not like it's not enough. Like for every one article you see in the CBC where a outsider submits an opinion piece that challenges this stuff, where you're going to get 10 or 20 that are going to push back. So the people are still seeing the writing, the evidence on the walls in terms of the people or the mindless masses is like, no, this guy's wrong, right? Because he's the individual, he's the outlier. Whereas the majority of the people in the CBC are saying the exact opposite. So It's all meant, right? Even when they offer this stuff, it's still meant and presented to you in a way it's like, well, you'll discredit even what this person will have to say because he's just a minority. So what does he know, right? And he's not being going to be referred to as an expert, I would imagine. Right? Although you would think he should be, right? But anyways, they're not calling him an expert, right? Amidst massive. This column is an opinion by Robert Aslan, Senior Vice President, Policy of the Business Council of Canada, where he leads development strategies that contribute to jobs and economic academia, the private sector, and government. So he's been all over, like he's been insider and outsiders, like whatever, right? Including roles as a policy advisor and to two prime ministers and a policy and budget director to the Minister of Finance. I mean, really, with all that, with based on his credentials there, right? CBC could have very easily suggested that this man was an expert, right? They do for everyone else they bring on there. But the reason why they haven't done so is because they don't necessarily want you to perceive this person as having a valid opinion that you should align with. That's why. Like I say, propaganda is very subtle. And it's very, very much where you have to read between the lines, which is why it's so deceptive and hard to figure out if you're not knowledgeable enough in order to do so, right? So, but anyways, it's not easy to find, but on page 142 of the federal government's fiscal and economic update is a little shadowed box. There's a number that will have a big impact on Canadians for generations to come. Accumulated deficit, $1,423 billion, 55.5% of GDP. Now, of course, 1.423 billion is 1,423 billion, right? Which is basically Canada's entire GDP. Basically, what all 38 million of us produce in terms of economic activity for the entirety of an entire year. All of that is the accumulated deficit in terms of the government. Oh, this is the federal government. So this is just the federal government, not the provincial government, folks. This is just the federal government is 1.43. So basically and that's not bringing in to the equation the provincial debts. And again, both of them, you're on the hooks as a Canadian. You're on the hook for both of them. It's not like, oh, I only have to pay provincial taxes. No, you got to pay federal tax too. So yeah. So like I say, you're on the hook for all of that. But just the federal, we're just talking the federal debt. And wait till you hear how this, like the numbers are, not only these numbers start at 55, this is more than half, right? That means more than half of the entire output of the country. So here we go, right? How are we not a socialist country? I mean, if the majority of the economic activity for years on end outstrips and outweighs that of the private sector, right? Because that's the other thing, that 1.43 trillion, how much of that, that's the thing, how much of the Canada's GDP is all as a direct result of private sector activity? How much of it is based on speculative wealth in homes, the stock market, which these unicorns, I mean, like I say, if you think about it, and if you really dig down to the numbers, and if you're the kind of person that was just a pure math type wonk, and if there's anyone out there watching this video, take the time because this would be very interesting if you could figure this stuff out. I probably could, but I never give myself enough time to sit down and do this because I have so much other stuff I always try to do. But that's 55% of the GDP. But if you stripped out how much of the GDP is actually, just based on nothing, no actual genuine economic activity, but just, like I say, speculative wealth increases in your home, right? And all kinds of crazy other ways that governments rig or gerrymander the fucking GDP numbers, right? How much is it really though? How much of it is actually, what if like, I could even imagine a scenario where only maybe $1 trillion of that is actual private, like market, genuine economic activity, which would obviously skew that number much higher from 55 to, maybe 70%. But like I say, at what point in time, right? At one point in time, just like slavery, at what point in time, and this is a question we really need to ask. Hey, this is a question, you know what? If you don't feel comfortable talking with people in your family or your coworkers or friends about this stuff, just ask them this, just because this is a really subtle question and it'll make them think really deeply about this stuff. Just ask them. Back when there were slaves, I was watching this thing from this guy. He was explaining how back even under full on human ownership, slavery, that the masters didn't take 100% of their productivity and keep it for themselves and leave the slaves with nothing because, the slaves had to eat. They had to be housed in some way. They're like, even if it was, inferior type of housing, like not the best kind of housing and not what should be, appropriate housing, but at least some way to protect them from the elements for sure, right? And food in their belly, right? Because even a slave, even a dog that gets abused, like if you're going to keep your dog around, even if you're the kind of person that's going to abuse your dog, well, you're still going to want to feed your dog if you want to keep it for any amount of time, right? Because if you don't feed it, it starves, and then it's just like the dog, not going to be much of a companion or something to go fetch. Just like a human or a slave, not going to be very productive if they have no energy or if they're dying in the fields, right? So all slave owners, all plantation owners, all masters throughout all of human history had to, now there was different various levels, of course, but it had to at least provide a bare minimum or at least give back enough of that labor, the returns on that labor, that productivity to the actual person that did the actual labor so that they could sustain themselves to be productive enough to be able to do the next day, the next week, the next month. So like I say, now you don't have to get in as depth as I am. Find a way to, like I say, bring this up, but just say, so if taken, so let's say it worked out to be, at that time, it was only 20 to 25% to provide for a roof over the head, the belly, and the master kept 75%. Or maybe it was 50 feet. Once again, I'm just picking a number off the top of my head. But at what point in time, in terms of when the government's controlling the economy and dictating or spending in the economy, right? Because when the government's spending money in the economy, right, on things like there's only so many resources and there's only so much money allocated. Well, I mean, you can accumulate wealth, but like I say, when the government's the one that's getting to control how wealth can be accumulated or how it's valued, that's the other thing. Central banks dictating and controlling how much the value is. So, like I say, you have to really now I'm getting into some really big macroeconomic stuff. But like I say, just think about it. How much economic activity or how much of your productivity would you suggest when the government's taking over that? Like, at what point do you say, I live in a socialist country or we live under socialism, right? At what point? It's like, at the very least, I would say once it's over, and this is the lowest number, right? This is the lowest number because they're not going to give us the actual high numbers. They're going to try to skew this lower. And even though this person's not trying to do so, but this would work, or even if it's just the number that this person came up with, just because that's just the numbers, that's just facts based on the information or the data that was provided to them at the time. 55. If it's in excess of 50%, if it's more than half of the economic activity, if more than half of the economic activity in this country has happened as a result of forced wealth and income redistribution or money printing, at what time do you realize that you're not functioning in a market economy? You're basically a slave, and there's a certain portion of you of your productivity or income that you're allowed to keep yourself so that you don't rebel against your master, right? At what point in time, like I say, what's the percentage? I would just ask people, what percentage of your income should someone else have any claim over or authority to claim over? That would be it's a real simple question. But anyways, of note, this does not include the long runway of new. Oh, so that's another thing, folks. Of note, this number does not include the long runway of new commitments promised in the fiscal update. Factoring in that extra spending, it is reasonable to project that our federal debt could climb to 1.7 trillion in the next few years. So that's even more, even in excess of GDP. Now, the GDP might grow too, but there's no guarantee of that. Not with the massive destruction of people's livelihoods and their jobs, right? Unless, once again, what are you going to do? CERB? Because that's another thing. If CERB is how they're generating GDP growth, you're stealing from future generations or future productivity for the here now. But that means you're going to lose that productivity in the future when you bring it forward, right? Just like if you buy a car, right? Yeah, you're going to have to make that payment for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And while you're making that payment for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you're not going to be able to use that money to buy other things, right? It's a simple thing. It's just simple math. Fuck. Anyways, but by then the federal government will have effectively added $1,000 billion. Yes, that is what $1 trillion means to Canada's debt since the end of 2019 fiscal year. So not the beginning, the end of fiscal year. So basically, 2020 to 2024. So 4 years, although if you want to play the game, the numbers game, let's just say 5 years, but it's not. It's only 4, really, right? So in basically 4 years or just over 4 years, the federal government has added $1 trillion to the debt. in just 4 to 5 years, right? Is that the 5-year plan, right? Is that the kind of 5-year plan is that kind of economics that or that China dictatorship bullshit mumbo jumbo? Is that the kind of stuff like the 5-year plan here? Because 2019 to 2024, that's a 5-year. Although, like I say, technically before if you, but yeah, $1 trillion. So the economy, like the debt, was nowhere near that for the longest time. But in just the minute Trudeau got power, right? The minute Trudeau got power, well, I mean, in 2015, well, he's been ramping it up ever since. But just since 2019, because you know how much he spent. I mean, think about it. 20, was it when they did it? 15, 60. I mean, we haven't even had a budget. The federal government hasn't even tabled a budget. But even prior to 2019, even for the first few years Trudeau was in power, you know, the tens of billions. And he said, we're only going to go in deficit to what, 10 billion a year? It's like more like 100, or it was triple that amount, 30 or 40 billion. So, and this is just in the last, like I say, just for the 5-year timeline or 4-year timeline of 2019 to 2024, another $1 trillion, right? And who's going to pay for that? Not going to be the boomers are all going to be dead. The silent and greatest generation, well, they're mostly dying and dead right now, right? COVID's taking care of that. Well, not COVID, but the ineptness and the failures of the healthcare system, the fact that people continue to choose to offload, the responsibility of taking care of their aging elderly people onto the government, right? This is another big major issue that people are going to have to reckon with at some point in time. But like I say, all of this done in just this short time frame. And like I say, who's going to pay for it? None of those Gen Xers. Well, as long as we're alive, yeah, they're going to want to keep us on the hook because they realize that we're good little tax cows. A lot of us are. We're fucking such hardworking fucking people that will just put our nose to the grindstone no matter what people do. That's, although I don't say I take great pride in that entirely. Like, I like having a good work ethic and stuff, but I don't like the idea of being a good little slave subject or serf to the ruling class. I don't need that kind of a pat on the back. Anyways, provincial governments have been accruing billions of dollars of new debt too. If you add them together, in most cases, the combined federal provincial debt to GDP ratio has already reached 100% of gross domestic product. In other words, the combined debt is equal to the entire value of all the goods and services produced in Canada in a year. So, like I say, folks. And yeah, I'll place a link to this, like I said, in the description of the stream below. You folks will get the information. How many other will learn about this stuff, or how many will even show any sign of even caring? I don't know, because so many people in this country are benefiting from it. To them, even once they know and they recognize how devastating it's going to be for future generations, like, I suppose everyone's adopted the Keynesian mentality now, right? It's like, in the long run, we're all dead. Yeah, sure, I could try to correct things, but let me just keep my mouth shut. Keep them pensions going along until I finally succumb, and at least I'll have, hey, I got mine, right? I got mine. Yeah, exactly. Name any example where the order followers, right? You can't. I agree with you on that one, Dave. Hey, Mr. Know-It-All, right on. Amen. Blood, if tyrants, seditious, Marxist traitors will run knee deep in the streets and valleys, nourishing the parched, dry roots of the trees of liberty. That sounds great, Mr. Know-It-All, but like I say, what I'm seeing so far is nope. This revolution will not be televised. Matter of fact, it won't even exist. I think they'll just, at this point, it seems, well, unless, like I say, things get progressively worse, which dark days ahead, right? So they do seem to. But currently, well, like I say, that reality that I'm experiencing is people are just rolling over, right? Lubing up just a little bit more, right? That's what I'm seeing out there. But I do hold out a little bit of hope, right? For some point in time in the future. I'm with you, Mr. Know-It-All. I hope that does change at some point in time. Not a fucking chance do I trust any order follow. Me neither. And that's the one thing. This is the one thing, and hopefully those fucking and a lot of them are. Let me just say, this is another reason why I will not align forces or support anyone in the PPC anymore, because they threw me the fuck under the bus by me daring to challenge or bring up these things in terms of the order followers. Because that's the thing. The PPC, and I was like, oh shit, are you really going that route with it? Because that's when I realized that. But I was like, I'm already at now. Let me try my best, help out here. But when I realized that it wasn't just military personnel, but we're now going to like, oh, we support police and all that. It's like, oh, fuck, really? Fuck, really? Do you not realize how statism works? Like, have you ever picked up Statism 101? No, but there should be a little booklet. It's like, how does statism work? Yes, politicians can be very authoritarian. So can kings. So can be pharaohs. So can be dictators. But yeah, they're not like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. They're not full on metal machines, right? They're just human beings that bleed like the rest of us, and most of them are just old, frail fucking people. No, what keeps them in power and have that authority? It's the fucking order followers. For Christ's sakes, it's always been, it's always going to be about the order followers. Liberty, right? The order followers are truly the people who destroy liberty. I mean, the politicians, the media class, those in academia, they're the ones that, convince the people's minds to accept that. And definitely in their own lives, they're trying to steal and plunder and make out and benefit at other people's expense. But once again, it's the order followers. Like, I'm not fucking scared of Blaine fucking Higgs. Blaine Higgs came knocking on my door, said, Bennett, you got to stay in. You got to wear a mask. Your wife's got to wear a mask all day while she's fucking working, even though she's no longer getting any fucking top up in terms of COVID. That's another thing. Now they got the mandates, but they don't have to fucking, and they got to do more, and they got to wear masks and all that shit, but no top ups whatsoever. But if he come to my door and said that, I said, oh yeah, I'll do that for you there, Blaine. I'd be like, you get the fuck out of my fucking face before I fucking smack you the fuck up for suggesting that my wife's got to be muzzled all day. You fucking low life piece of shit, right? That's what it would be if wasn't the fact that he's got entire gangs of mindless order followers that he can call up, or someone can call up on his behalf and say, hey, Bennett's not doing what I demand of him. He's not being a good little conformist. You better come here and fuck him up, right? If it wasn't for those people, like I say, Blaine Higgs would never have the courage. Wouldn't have the slightest bit of courage to suggest, not just to me, but yeah, there's some other fucking boys in New Brunswick that Blaine Higgs could, trust me, he'd be shaken to death before he'd ever step up to any of these people's homes or make any public announcement that he's going to control our fucking where we're allowed to go and that we got to be muzzled all the time, right? Like, it never would happen. But the reason why it continues to happen is because all those order followers are just waiting in the wings, just waiting for those orders, right? Who we got to go fuck up? Who's not doing what we tell them to do, right? Oh, don't worry. We'll go fuck them up for a paycheck. And that's why the people on the right don't fucking ever think that the libertarians will align with you. No, you have to put your bootlicking bullshit aside at some point in time. And if you're one of those fucking, and if you're an authoritarian collectivist on the right, if you really care about the greater good, man, and that's what you think you're all about is the greater good, well, the only way you get to that greater good is stop supporting the enforcers. Especially if you're fucking that comes from a Christian background, you idiots. You're the guy that's defending the royal praetorian or whatever the guards were under the Roman Empire when they were taking Jesus to be crucified. You're the guy saying, hey, they're just doing their job, man. They're just doing their job. Don't get mad at them. They're just doing their job. Yeah, but you not see that they're forcing this guy who's really peaceful and just wants to talk about peace and harmony and love and respect and all that stuff. You not see that they're making him carry this cross and he's bleeding at the fucking crown of thorns on his head. And, they've been beating him all day long and whooping him. You really think that they don't have any personal culpability or responsibility? You mean the guy that's literally right now, like, hey, watch, look. You see that? That guy's not responsible for what he did? You mean it's Caesar? Caesar did that? Really? Fuck, Caesar's one hell of a powerful dose. He's magic too, huh? I didn't realize it. Just like in Canada, Trudeau, Doug Ford, Blaine Higgs, they're all magic. They can just magically use all these weapons of force and intimidation and taser guns. And they just do it all just by magical mind power. No. We all know exactly how it takes place. It's the order followers. The order followers are the only ones that maintain the state. That's just the reality. And until people, like I said, until the right, in particular the left, that's one thing, which is why I support more and more the left these days. Because Antifa, don't care for them. Fucking their ideas are stupid as shit, but they have balls. Got fucking balls of steel at least, right? They're willing to fucking keep it up. Matter of fact, they've taken over entire jurisdiction out there in Oregon, right? Not saying I support them, but they have courage of their conviction, right? And they don't sit and fucking lick the fucking toes of the police anymore. That's one thing I will say about the left. And the reason why I'm not so much against like the Black Lives Matter in terms of the idea, in terms of defund the police. Now, the people that are doing it, yeah, some of them are communists and socialists, and yeah, fuck those people, right? But the idea of at least they kind of understand that, like if you're on the plantation, it's not just the fact that you got to rail against your master. Like it's like, what about all the guards that are keeping us in the plantation? Well, we can't leave, we can't run. Or what about all the police that are going to capture us and bring us back to the mountain? At least they're smart enough to realize, yeah, we probably got to rail against the enforcers, the guards, the ones that are actually keeping us physically captive. That probably matters, right? So it shows me once again that the people on the left are seemingly more wise and more prudent in terms of actually who to focus on, right? The state or the enforcers of the state. Whereas the right, they just want to take over the state for themselves. And they love that force, and they're never going to want to relinquish that force because they want to use that force to their opponents, which I got to say, folks, and once again, not all, hashtag not all, but it's so much the boomer mentality. The boomers were the first generation in modern history that started the divorce things where they were going their own way, right? That's when the divorce rates, and if you don't believe me, just go look through the timeline, right? The boomers, and it's the same thing, and they hated each other, and they just looked at how can they, especially the woman's side of thing, right? Like hell hath no fury, but the woman that fucking goes after the guy in the courts and uses the state to fuck, oh, how dare you cheat on me, or how dare you leave me, or how do, and we've seen that, and that's just playing out before our eyes. It's just on a grander scale, right? So it's just the same stuff that you grew up, you were privy to as a young, especially if you're a Gen X or a millennial and watched how the boomers treat each other, right? And maybe even some of the Gen Xers that grew up and didn't learn from some of the stupidity, right? But yeah, that's what we're seeing today. But it's just on a larger stage, on a grander scale. That's really all. Anyways, I know I'm kind of rambling again, but I do tend to do that from time to time, folks. But yeah, I'm really railing against and not a fan of the order followers because they are the ones who are the hindrance. The biggest hindrance to freedom and liberty in any country are the order followers. 100%. Order followers are the ones that are going to destroy and allow our countries to be destroyed. That's just the truth, folks. That's just the truth. And if you got someone in your family that's a cop and you say, oh, he's a good person, well, maybe sometimes, and maybe to you, right? Just like under Nazi Germany, what the fuck? The ones that were throwing the fucking people in the boxcars, do you not think that when they went home, just think about it. You're the guy that's just standing there, right? But you're just following orders. Okay, get on the boxcar, right? You don't think that when he went home, that, he probably had a family, maybe, right? And he was probably nice to them. And I'm sure some of the people, even his own family, he's like, no, Goebbels here, or not Goebbels, he was the propagandist, but I don't know, whatever, right? Pick whatever Stasi, or not Stasi, but the enforcers of the Nazi regime. Oh, he's such a nice guy, right? Like Bill over here, he's such, come on, he's great. Look, he's so good with the kids, right? Because yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem with tribalism and in-group stuff, right? It's like, yes, people will have mutual respect for certain people that they actually know, right? But obviously, this person was told enough that the other people that he's telling to get on the box chart, he was foolish enough and willing to go along with the narrative enough that he perceived these people as enemies. And like I say, get in the boxcar. Knowing that they were going to be like put in fucking concentration camps or to be killed in some way. But he just had to put that out of his mind so he could follow orders to sustain his family, to provide for his family, right? Because that's how he provides, right? That's his paycheck. Come from being an enforcer of the state. This is the problem, folks. And we're never going to get out from underneath this unless we deal with all these realities. Like I say, it doesn't change by checking off a ballot at a box every few years. That doesn't change. Prices of rural properties have gone up in the past year. Get out of the cities if you're able to. Yeah, and that's the other thing. If you are going to move into a rural area, although I hate to say that because like fuck, stay the fuck out. Stop ruining everything. It's like Joe Rogan and his bunch all moving into Texas. All right, Texas. That's fucking time's probably on now where they're gonna, because like I say, these people that like to play both sides of the fucking fence all the time, because Joe really at the end of the day, I mean, I got a little respect for him to some degree. Like obviously it's not, but popularity matters more to him than principle. He just wants to be popular and get a paycheck. And once again, nothing against that, but he's not the guy that, like I say, anyways. But yeah, if you are someone looking to move into a rural community, like, yeah, the longer you wait, and that's a sad thing too, because I don't want the price of houses going. We need to have at least somewhere in the fucking country where people who are poor can fucking live, for fuck's sakes. But yeah, I get what you're saying there, Marcel. Not to worry, many of my friends are very awake. 200 of us will never take the vaccine. That's awesome, Greg. And I know, like I say, and I'm the same way, and I know lots of people the same way. But damn, we're still a tiny minority, aren't we? Screw that. The city idiots made their bed, should sleep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stop fucking trying to. Yeah, they're going to fuck everything up. Fuck off. You stay. Just like, here's the other thing. Let me make this prediction here right now, folks. I'm fucking serious, okay? Let's say, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to add in the disclaimer of this one that there's lots of swearing in the video for this. But anyways, how much you want to bet? I'm just guessing. I'm just speculating here. Oh, Pippi, thanks. Prayers and love to you too, Pippi. So now that Trump is moved over to Parler, right? Because Twitter and Facebook and YouTube are basically all trying to and the writing's on the wall. They're basically going to eliminate Trump from even having any social media presence on the dominant platforms. So, Trump and of course his supporters are going to move over. Now, once again, some of the Trump supporters I get along with. A lot of them can't stand them. But I will say this, because those are the ones that are creating the most activity and generating, stirring a lot of buzz. If they're all over on Parler, how much you want to bet that these lefties, just like your Joe Rogans and all these other ones, right? How much you want to bet, because they've destroyed, once they realize, oh, we've turned Twitter into a dumpster fire. Facebook's now just a piece of shit outlet for nothing but progressive leftists to sit down and circle jerk and show their dinners, right? Whatever, right? Or YouTube is now, all the libertarians no longer really are allowed to have a voice, or their silence suppressed. Like at some point in time where they realize, oh fuck, you mean it's only my own people that I'm stuck with now? Oh, you people are the worst, right? So all the lefties, all the collectivists will be like, fuck, I don't want to be here just with all you guys. Fuck, at least I could distract myself from having to deal with all you fucks when I was arguing with my opponents. And at least my opponent's quite funny and humorous and keeps me engaged and entertained, right? But now I'm just stuck with all you fuckers. Oh, hell no. Hell no, because I know if I say the next thing wrong, well, I'm going to be banished to the island where those fucks are. So I got to get me out of here. So how much you want to bet? Like I say, a lot of these people end up gravitating and moving towards Parler or some of these other alternative platforms, which good for Parler and some of these alternatives, Minds, Gab, and all these places. Good for them, but bad for those of us who actually like to escape the insanity at the time, right? But either way, that's the thing. These people are miserable in their own skin. They're not happy with you being around you, but they're not happy not being. Once again, does that resonate with you? Anything? Is anybody ever in your life at any point in time where there's like, oh fuck, that sounds so familiar? Yeah, like I say, just on a grander scale, folks. Just on a grander scale. But yeah, Royal Rife's Nobel Prize work to make you think of different virus. 1920s work with the most advanced microscope today, but not used. You guys must be talking back and forth, I guess, because I'm not sure what that was about. Okay. Hey, what's going on, NG Grant? You know what? Screw you right and left. While you let the real criminals run scot-free, informing the union of all people, no matter what race, to take everything back, which means our true freedom. You know what? Screw you right and left. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you, New Jersey Grant, NJ Grant, or maybe it's initials for your name, NJ Grant. But either way, I'm with you. Yes, the people that keep playing these fucking left-right games, we really, if there's one thing that we have to keep hammering away on is stop playing the fucking political game. It's not left versus right, Fox. It's not women versus men, right? Not properly. No, it's ideas at the end of the day, and the ideas of liberty or the ideas of sacrificing individuals for the collective. That's what it is, right? It's individual, respect of the individual and the sovereignty of the individual, and mutual agreed contracts that are all entered into voluntarily versus those who are like, they don't give a shit. Be damn your freedom, be damn your individuality, be damn your liberty. You are part of a collective and you do whatever I say for the collective. That's the two mindsets, right? And like I say, no matter whether they're coming at it to you with the rhetoric from the left or the right, both of them are going to tell you the same thing. Shut up, sit down, forget about what you think or how you want to live your life. You do as I say or else. Both of them are telling you the same thing. It's just they have different plans on offer and have different preferences in terms of what they're willing to allow you to do. So you can pick one of the lessers of evil, or you can say, I'm a fucking adult and neither of you have any pretense of authority to dictate and control what I do or how I live. And if you don't have that wellness and that capacity or that resilience within you, well, just take your place. Just take your place. Yeah, enough is fully enough. I agree. I'll be there, brother. Awesome. Good to know, Miles Harper. Good to know. Good to know. This time you all will do it my way. No matter how many times we fall, I won't get intimidated by people with weapons. We're going to fight back in a different way. Right on. Well, yeah, you definitely don't get intimidated by people with weapons because, well, like, let me think here. What's a good way to defend yourself against people with weapons? Having a weapon yourself. So yeah, all right. The weapon won't necessarily do anything. It's just an inanimate object. But I mean, if there are people that are threatening you with weapons, not to suggest you should be fearful of it because, matter of fact, that's the thing. There's all kinds of ways to get a weapon out there for yourself. So far, now that might change eventually, and we see the Trudeau regime trying to squash or eliminate any potential for people to be armed, right, or to have weapons. But it's still possible. It's still possible. Well, I mean, come on. They even make weapons, not guns necessarily, right? But they even make weapons inside prisons. You can even get drugs and paraphernalia inside a prison. So if they can do it there, yeah, you can get your hands on it. And we know. But anyways, moving on. Okay. I see there's lots of fine folks that have joined the stream. I'm just trying to get to the ones that I haven't covered any of their comments as of yet so I can reference some of their stuff. Okay. Hello, Castro. Oh, hell, Castro. Yeah. What's going on, Mr. Biggs? Hey, Derek Matzig. What's going on? Haven't seen you in the chat for a while, my friend. The problem is people keep voting the same people into office. We need to start electing citizens and not career politicians. Well, once again, maybe you're a little late to join the stream, but I'm saying that politics isn't, it's not politics, maybe after the fact, like I say, but no, well, keep doing it. Let me know how it works for you. Cause I'm telling you, and I'm not saying this to be mean or cruel. I'm just telling you, politics isn't going to work. I'm just telling you that. Like I say, no one has to believe me, but at some point in time, maybe some should. That was the most respectful mob I've seen. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, come on. That was like, but the way the media played it up, I don't know. Try seeing through a Danya Friesen. Oh, I could just imagine. Well, I don't know who this person is, but wow, right? Wow. Allah is Satan. Okay, what do we got here? I hope not. I hope the Libertarian Party, because the Libertarian Party in the US, I mean, there's all kinds of amazing think tanks, organization, Reason Magazine. There's even, like I say, cultural aspects of the liberty movement in the US that like they could be drawn upon now. And they have a party that's in all 50 states. They've already got everything they need at their disposal. There is absolutely no need whatsoever to form another party. And if that's what they end up, if that's what the people that stormed the Capitol, if they try creating another party to challenge the establishment like they did here in Canada, like with the PBC, when you're already, like here in Canada, we already have it. US, they already have it. Like all these people that are part and parcel, like your Tim Mowens or your Joe Jorgensen's or all the other people that have been, making sure that you have that at your disposal. Like I say, hopefully maybe someday you fuckers realize it. Like I say, maybe there won't be an option for you out there. Because like I said, it's got to be discouraging for the people who, like in this part of the liberty movement in terms of the political parties in Canada, US, to be like, we're right here, folks. We're right here for you. But you kind of got to support us. It's like, but people are like, no. And like I said, I even feel myself. I even said to Tim that time we had a conversation now that I felt absolutely horrendous. And I still to this day feel bad for even joining with the PBC. Because I feel like in some way that I forsake the true liberty lovers and freedom fighters in this country, right? But even Tim, like we were all like, I think we all realized we were just trying to figure out what's going to work. Let's try our best. But like I say, the evidence is in, folks. If you want, there's no need. Not if you want freedom, individual liberty, and you're watching the Canadian Libertarian channel, so I have to expect that you care about freedom, which is individual liberty, right? Because we're all individuals. We're not collectives. We're all individuals. Like I say, in both of our countries, we already have the political tools and resources that are needed and necessary to challenge the status quo and basically upend it in the political realm. If that's what the people support. But what we see is the people don't support it. You support it. I support it. A small minority of us support it. Maybe a few 100,000 people in Canada, right? Based on the people at least that showed up to vote for the PBC, there was about 300,000. So there might be 300,000, right? But come on, that's just what, 1%, right, of the population? Less than 1%. Because actually 1% would mean we only have 30 million. We have 38 million. So it's less than 1% of the population. So like I say, and yes, we can be effective force, but not if we're not actually helping each other out, if we're not actually, you know, being a unified force. I get that we can function in our own personal lives separately and individually. That definitely has to take place. But we have to at least kind of seem like we're at least coming across as people who align and respect each other. We don't have to be like the collectivists where it's just all merged. We don't have to be NPCs. But I mean, come on, especially in politics when numbers matter. I mean, anyways, let me move on from that but like I say, no need for a new party. Parties are already in existence. You just need to support them. Libertarians don't understand that most people don't want freedom. That's true. A lot of people don't, but I actually agree with you there, Stuart. But so what I would suggest though is which is what I tend to do these days, so that I at least don't piss off people or piss off as many people as I tend to do at times. And this is just me offering you some advice, Stuart, is don't say something like libertarians don't understand. Because now, like, even for me, although I kind of get what you're saying, but that's like, what do you mean? I fucking fully understand. So if you just say some, it's only a 4-letter word, and it's such an easy way to make sure that like the other people who are reading it are like, okay, he's not talking about me. I get it. He's just pointing out the ones that, because we'll all agree with you 100%. There are lots of libertarians out there that just don't seem understand that there's a lot of people that don't want freedom, right? But I'm not one of them. So if you use the blanket statement like that generalized without at least especially for libertarians, because we're very individualistic, right? I mean, if you were to use this towards people who are all about the collective, right? But we're talking about libertarians. So once again, nothing against you, Steve, but for libertarians that are very staunchly individualistic, right? Probably wiser to use a little disclaimer there. And the only reason why is to save you having to get into arguments and ridiculous conversations that shouldn't even have to take place, right? So, but that's all. That's all I'm saying. Or don't take my advice at all. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's whatever. Yes, it is. Yes, it's a sick, insane world. Psycho world. Welcome to 2021. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else that's new to the stream? Yeah, exactly. Look at how many certifications a physician needs to work on one person. A politician needs exactly 0 qualifications. That's why I'm proud of for people. Politics is hopeless. I agree with you there, man. I really do agree with you there. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's natural tendencies of that. Like that is actually just part and parcel of the human experience, right? But it's people, like I say, it's the people that are surrounding them are not teaching people, right, how to be like independent, staunchly independent, while still be. That's the thing, like especially people who are against anarchists or libertarians, the philosophy of liberty. They always think that when we say individual liberty, that we just all want to be like isolated and alone. It's like that's not the case. It just means mutual respect of each other's sovereignty. That's it. Oh, fuck, I love being around other people and having family. I would not want to be a loner. So I was like, it never has nothing to do with that stuff. But once again, it's even the fact that I have to even explain that is because there are people out there who to them, it's more important to spew rhetoric than just take the time, think before you speak, right? Like that's one thing I will say. Libertarians have had to fight amongst other libertarians or anarchists or volunteers. We have spent so much time infighting because people that just keep, like I say, just don't even some of them like just constantly run out and shitting on the chessboard. It's like, oh man, now I got to clean up this mess. You've set me back. It's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I would tend to say that, yeah, like, are we not, right? How could we not be? What's going on? I see Ann and Steve here. I'm guessing it's almost done. Unfortunately, Steve. Yes, unfortunately. 11:40. Oh, yeah. Where are we at here now? What's the time? Holy crap. Yeah. Well, you sent this at 2, so I'm 40 minutes behind actually replying. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, but I'm going to tie the stream up here. Just let me get a couple more comments. What's up? Just got here. Did I miss? Yeah, sorry about that, Steve. It's all good, buddy. Check it out later on there. Hey, Tax Slave, how you doing there, my friend? Nice to see you in the chat. I feel like we are living through the biblical time. Tommy got, hey, I haven't seen Tommy again in a while. 1978, 8. I feel like we are living through a biblical time, and I'm not religious. Return to God and Bible is the only chance to overthrow the state. Well, that's the thing. We have to have, I mean, there are secular ways of doing it too, for sure. So I don't try to tell people what to do, but I know for me, I definitely draw on from my Christian background and some of those great teachings that I heard and some of the stories contained within the Bible and the importance and the precedent that it set in my life and the people that actually adhered to them. I'm definitely drawn from a lot of that experience and that knowledge that I've learned over the years, and plus having people like Jordan Peterson clarify things better for me in terms of the psychological aspect of it and the pretense of, hey, if we're going to have an authority, right? If we're going to have an abstract authority or how we deal and treat with each other, if there's going to be a grand narrative in some way, yeah, let's place that in the hands of something that's not another human being at the very least, right? Because that other human being can use that shit for nefarious purpose. Whereas if it's an abstract concept such as God, it can be universalized and theoretically, although we've seen how that can be circumvented as well, you shouldn't be able to override something that's universal. And you can't, like a person, you might be able to convince them to say the exact opposite of what they said by putting a gun to the head. But a concept like math, you'll never get math, or like math as a concept, it'll never be 2 + 2 is 5 because you could threaten math or the formulation of math and say, now I want it to be 2 + 2 is 5. You can't. It's going to be 4 because that's the formulation. And that's abstract too. Math is not like you can't physically touch math, right? But it's a concept in our mind, but we understand it intrinsically and we universalize it. And when we're trying to figure things out, like when you're at the grocery store, you know damn well 1, 2, 3, 4, and we use it every day of our life. Just like most of the ethics and morality that's baked in the Canadian mindset for most of us, especially the typical Anglo-Saxon or the French or historic people who come from historically Europe that was mostly predominantly Christians, or even nations that like Indians or Pakistanis that had Christian. Like, that it's these stories, these ideas are all about giving us the best semblance and understanding in what's the best way to deal with each other as human beings, and even gives you the ability to circumvent or overcome fears, right? Not just of the unknown or the future, but of your fellow man. I mean, like I say, these things are so fundamental in terms, and which is why it took thousands of years to try to figure this stuff out. But these things are very important. And yeah, when it comes to Christianity, yeah, I'm not a believer in like a magic man sitting in the clouds with long brown hair kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, I'm not throwing the baby with the bathwater. Like I say, I still keep some core Christian fundamentals and some of the ideas that are contained within the Bible near and dear to the heart, because they actually are quite conducive with the fundamental principles of libertarianism as well. I don't take your advice, CL. I'm just tuned in to count how many times you say fuck. Keep up the fucking good work. Okay, right on. Don't take my advice then. I don't care. But at least you tuned in, so there's that. But I don't care if you take my advice or not, to be honest with you. It's up to each and everyone everybody's got to choose their own path in life, right? Yeah. NB is, yeah, it is not allowed in Ontario. I think it's better. I don't know. Probably. Yeah, probably, because the RCMP is a federal. It's basically, yeah, like, yeah. I would definitely say that. Accountability for the RCMP, non-existent. But yeah, in some of the jurisdictions, like maybe city police, provincial police, like in OPP and stuff, maybe might have a better chance at that. I can't say for certainty, but based on like experiences over the course of my life from other people, I have at least seen in places like Ontario, when you're dealing with the OPP, where there are some judges on the bench who are slightly activists and maybe will give you a bit of a break. Not saying that the police themselves are going to treat you much better, right? But the judges or the courts might be a little bit more lenient in some ways. Whereas here, the RCMP fuck you up in New Brunswick. All the judge are like, they'll no matter how corrupt, how inept, or how unethical or immoral the actions, they just like I say, they just completely align with them 100%. Very, very, very few rare circumstances or instances where like any judge has ever actually punished someone in the RCMP, no matter what they've done, right? So yeah, it's scary stuff here on the East Coast, but that's why a lot of people on the East Coast are very well armed as well, right? And why you've seen shootings, like not just from Bork, but the one in Fredericton. I mean, for a small province like New Brunswick with a small population, there's probably got the most in terms of like shootings towards police. And that's for a reason, folks. That is for a reason. Once again, not saying I support it at all. Just saying that is a reason. Oh, no. Oh, no worries, man. No worries, buddy. I don't take it. Like I said, today, when it comes to stuff like that, especially personal stuff, I can't. There's too much stuff I got to deal with. I can't take anything personal, no matter what. I just kind of deal with it and move on. So no worries, tax leave. It's all good, my friend. But anyway, so I'm going to tie this stream up, folks. Like I say, I'll place all of these articles that I referenced in this one in the description of the video below. Now, the video that was embedded within Twitter, I won't be able to put that in the description, I don't think. But the rest of the stuff, like I say, definitely will be. But I'll definitely be looking to do that. Looking forward to be doing that stream, like I say. So that's going to be with Anthony Samaroff on Wednesday. I have a bunch of other things that I'm setting up here too, folks. So that's, like I say, next Wednesday, I believe it should be. So the 13th at 1 p.m. my time, so 12 p.m. Eastern. And then we got Epic Cash, the guy that Tim Moen. I got to reach out to these guys too. I forgot about that. I got to get back in contact with the Epic Cash. These folks, because once again, the crypto space these days. Oh, did you notice that, folks, today? $40,000 Bitcoin's at today. Damn, the people that get into Bitcoin earlier on. I really envy you people. I really do, because I'd be independently wealthy and rich. And you know what? We might be free. If I had the kind of money that some of the people have that invested in Bitcoin, well, that means I would have had to withdraw some of it to spend it, right? But man, would I ever be invested in? Like, to me, if I had money, I keep dreaming is like an investigative media outlet, real investigative journalist. I mean, where I'm going to pay people good money to do good on the ground investigative reporting. I mean, like good shit. I mean, like some guys that real and gals, right? Know what some undercover stuff, right? I mean, getting back to basics in terms of at least having. Now, Rebel does a great job in terms of that in Canada, but Rebel alone can't do everything, right? We especially here on the East Coast, it'd be good to have, or even just to have an alternative option, right? And maybe people that'll maybe even challenge ways, maybe in a little bit more than what Rebel will do, right? But like I say, it would be really nice to have more than just Rebel. Although we do have the post-millennial, but post-millennial, I realize they're only going to be willing to, post-millennial, I think, is going to be willing to challenge the status quo to a certain degree. But I think a lot of them might be pretty much conservatives that just want to kind of get a more conservative government, not so much liberty-oriented, or to actually fully hold government 100% to account. For me, I would, like I say, I don't have a tribe. Like I don't pick left or right. So it's like I'd be willing to, if I had that kind of money and that kind of influence, I'd like I say, I'd set up. Of course, then I'd hire someone to create a website that's really professional and set up so that would be an alternative, not just to the social media, because there's plenty of social media platforms, but something that's another alternative method for all of us when we need to, where we can congregate to and discuss mostly just the ideas, where the whole thing is just resource related, right? Everything liberty oriented, just 100% of all of it. It's like now, of course, you could find it all kinds of places, but just to have like a hub of sorts would be nice. Anyways, that's just me thinking it. But yeah, so I'll be talking. I'm going to be reaching out and to have that interview. If you want to see what Epic Cash is all about, check out Tim Moen on the Liberty Hunter podcast, the Liberty Experts on their YouTube channel. Check that out, because Tim Moen was already interviewed. He did a great job on there. Oh yeah. Actually, before I tie it out, Wally Lee sent me a video. I just want to play. I believe he's Canadian. Well, it's a song I believe he wrote. Yeah, I don't know. I got other stuff. Maybe I'll wait and announce them in another one, in a future stream, because I think a lot of that stuff is actually on the background on my laptop. So, like I say, you got the Anthony one next Wednesday. But yeah, let me just play this video to take us out of the stream from this person that sent me
Anthony one next Wednesday. But yeah,
why
let me
is
just play this video.
Okay, I'm getting a little feedback there. Sorry, folks. Oh, and John Irwin. I just clicked on my Facebook. So yeah, let me mention that too. Krusty Canuck. Check out Krusty Canuck on YouTube. And he also has a podcast. Like I said, just type in Krusty Canuck and you'll find him anyways on YouTube, and then he'll have a link to all of his other stuff in that as well. Or yeah, I'm pretty sure he don't want me to share his personal stuff, but I think he even has a Facebook page, Krusty Canuck. So just capital C, Krusty Canuck, search for that. And I'm going to be reaching out. Well, we've already been talking. We're going to be having a conversation. Actually, let me see. Oh yeah, he's just looking to get StreamYards because he's going to host me on his channel. But tell you the truth, I would even I'll mention to it after this to John. I'd even be willing to go on and just do audio only if you want to do it just in podcast form. As long as you figured a way to get me on. I'm looking forward to having a chat with John Irwin. Like I say, check out his channel, Krusty Canuck, and he does some great podcasts. So definitely check that out for sure. And like I say, let me get to that video here. Just one sec here, folks, because I believe he sent it to me, or could I just go through my history? Actually, yeah, I might be able to just go through my history, but I did kind of want to read what he had sent to me as well. Sorry, I know it's kind of a lame way to end it, but I did want to bring this up. There we go. Okay. And then let me just bring this up. Where did it go? Oh, actually, it's not even. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Let me just read for you folks. So, hi, top respect. Here's a short slide show Liberty song. I hope you don't mind. Subscribe, like, and share would help as we lean into the resistance. Insulting, scams, shams, and junk technology passed off as science. Bless, bless. Thanks. So, anyways, like I say, so this was sent to me by Wally Day or D, and like I say, I figured, you know what? Let's help this gentleman out. Because if it's someone that cares about freedom and liberty, I not only do I got respect for them, but I definitely don't mind helping support them and sharing their content. So if you folks are interested, like I say, check out Wally's YouTube channel, this song, and subscribe to him if you're interested. Let me share it real quick. And like I say, I'll just be using this as my outro, right, for the stream. And I'll see you in the next one. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.
Liberty can't be found. Word just hit the wire. Mercy never stayed long. Liberty's leaving government town. And when the skies go white again, is there something falling in the rain? Power's not talking, and it's time. Mercy never stayed long. Liberty's leaving. Liberty's leaving government town. By honor and hope, we are truly bound at making rainbows hit the ground. They set the hook, they took control, and it's time, Mercy never stayed long, and liberty's leaving government town. Liberty's leaving government town. Sounds of the troubles, there's something going down. One-eyed Jack's been sneaking around. The broad man for the crime. And it's time. Time. Mercy never stayed long. And liberties leaving never stayed long. Liberties leaving government town. Leaving government town. Never stayed.